It all starts with this, everyone. It's Deep Dive Zone, a Sonic review series for fans of all shapes and sizes. I'm your host Devin, joined as always by my co-hosts Lauren, Bruce, and what? What's that sound?
I'm back.
Oh, well, there he is. Looks like Sid will be joining us as well for our review of Sonic Adventure 2. After all this time, this is probably the most famous Sonic game of all time outside Sonic 1 and 2.
Really? I
Really?
didn't know that.
I feel like if there's any Sonic game that gets brought up like in modern language, it's Adventure 2. Like unless you're like dunking on '06.
I certainly think that it is, but people might discover I'm a bit biased towards this game.
Listen, we were all excited to get here. There's a lot to talk about in this game, and it's well, frankly, it's the rare case of Sega taking what worked about Sonic Adventure 1 and mostly expanding on it in a sensible way. There's some problems, but
Oh yeah.
we've got shorter intro, shorter title screen. There's not really a lot of like big fluff to show off the power. It's all just sort of very it's a focused game in a lot of ways.
There's no overworld.
There's no hub worlds. There is just levels, bosses, and cutscenes.
You said a shorter, more focused intro. I mean, you could call it that. It's literally just the logo assembling stylishly. Like,
Yeah.
it's really disappointing, honestly. They fixed it in the remake, of course.
Yeah, I mean
Or
the battle release gives you
remake, exactly. An expanded release, I suppose.
yeah, it gives
I
you a
think
little
I
shot
skipped
at the
that.
characters.
Yeah, I was very disappointed to see the logo, like this title screen not being what I remember from playing on the GameCube.
Yeah. Now you have to like pay $2 to get that as DLC on Steam because it's stupid.
Which
Um,
fuck that.
Yeah. Fuck that.
Yeah.
That is $2 I don't have for this shit.
Well, our story begins with we only have two stories here, Hero and Dark, but we are starting out here the Hero story with the most iconic cutscene in all of Sonic, where Sonic is captured aboard a police helicopter and breaks the hell out and skateboards off into the sky on a piece of scrap metal.
You keep making these bold statements about how well known or popular or whatever these moments are. I want the numbers because I'm surprised by what you keep stating.
Listen, this is
All
the
right,
most quoted Sonic game. I just it has to
It
be
is
this.
probably the most.
Lord, next time we both have free time,
iconic.
we're gonna start collecting the data.
All right. That'd make me feel better.
I
We'll go
would
door to door.
seeing that day.
Yeah, door to door, by hand. Yes.
Yep.
You can at
I
least
will
agree it's
believe-
iconic.
I will believe that it's the most quoted. That does sound right in my head.
Yeah.
Other
It's
than
definitely
like
the one
this,
I quote the most.
other than like the Sonic Colors copyright line, but yeah. And it's because this game's cutscenes are way more animated than Sonic Adventure 1, and a lot of them are pretty good.
I found a lot of the cutscenes looked kind of janky, to be honest.
There's definitely janky, but like
They're not bad, but
I gotta give them credit for improving a
Yeah.
lot over Adventure.
yeah, that's definitely true. I think it was specifically the models felt a little jankier to me.
It's because they don't all fit together properly, because this game was
Yeah.
the first Sonic game to use mocap for cutscenes.
Really?
That explains a lot.
Let's explain a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah, so they're a little puppet-like, because, spoiler
Yeah.
alert, Sonic character
That
bodies are not shaped like humans.
No.
That explains why I have no idea what characters doing with their hands half the time.
Well, yeah, you constantly get, like, Sonic moving his hands around for no reason.
Which
That
I'm
is
sure will come up more in Dark Story.
It's a hallmark of amateur acting. You see that in like the rotoscoping sequences in like the Ralph Bakshi Hobbit movie, or Lord of the Rings, not Hobbit.
Interesting.
Anywho, yeah. So love the first cutscene. I love the music. Which it's Sonic Adventure 2, so of course you love the music.
Yeah, it's a good start to the hero story. You know, having the titular Sonic captured by the police. That's always a great start.
Yeah, and he's totally casual about it. The whole no food or movies, I'm out of here. It's great.
It makes me wonder what led up to this exactly. Was he like, okay, I'll jump in the helicopter. Maybe it'll be fun. Nah, I'm bored, and he just left.
Yeah, maybe it'll be like a plane flight.
He would have had to go willingly. There's no way they could have forcefully captured him if
Oh,
he did not
God,
want to go
no.
willingly. He
God,
would have
no.
had to
What
go
I'm thinking,
willingly.
yeah.
Yeah, he's like, I'll just go with these guys. They seem to want me so bad, and then he just gets
Sonic
bored.
government is not competent enough to capture someone like Sonic unless Sonic wants to be captured.
Yeah.
That or they like found him while he was sleeping and stuffed him in a sack. Like
They shoved
one
him,
of those two.
shoved him in a fucking burlap sack.
I will say, speaking of the government, in the first game,
Off to a good
trying to
start.
think. I'm trying to think. There wasn't a whole lot when it comes. I think there were a few like officers maybe standing around or something. But in this game, they actually start to expand like the human government in Sonic's world a little bit because we
Oh,
have the new
yeah.
organization creatively named GUN.
Guardian Units of Nation, but yet it's gun. And I want to add that even though this city looks like San Francisco because the game was developed there and the devs wanted to smash all of the parked cars that they couldn't get past on their way to the studio,
Relatable.
Yeah,
this isn't
relatable.
America. This is the United Federation.
Oh, so we're getting. I did not know that. That's
It
interesting.
sounds like Space America.
Yeah, it's fucking Star Trek.
Fucking. All right, fair enough.
But yes, new organizations, new weirdness chasing us through our first stage here, a very popular Sonic stage, City Escape, which it's awesome.
I think this might be the strongest, or at least in my opinion, is the strongest opening stage we've had in any of the games.
I wholeheartedly agree.
I'd have to run the numbers, but off the top of my head, probably.
I mean, this is not just one of the strongest starts in Sonic, but arguably in video games, one of the strongest opening stages.
That's a
It
very
just sets the
bold
tone
statement.
for the game
That-
so extremely well.
That is a very spicy take, but I think that's a pretty strong take also.
Well, because it's just pure energy. You've got the
Right.
pulse-pounding music. The best thing that fucking Ted Poley ever made was this song, and you're streetboarding away from cops just rampaging through the city. The fact that you can destroy the parked cars makes Sonic look kind of like a psychopath, but also I very much respect it.
I mean, how do we know
Look.
Sonic isn't a psychopath?
If cars are that good at flying, it is your moral obligation to send them into the air.
This is just more of Sega's nonsense with, oh, you cause all sorts of destruction, but no one gets hurt. Because I'm betting, oh yeah, no one was in any of the cars, no one was injured at all by any of Sonic's antics.
Of course.
When have you ever seen someone in a parked car?
When have you ever seen someone in a car?
Listen,
yeah.
we've walked on these streets of San Francisco, and I don't remember a lot of people being in those cars when we were there.
Fair
Well,
enough.
property damage is also a crime, and
Yeah,
that,
but
I don't know
Sonic
how you
should
can-
not care about property
I
damage.
don't
That
know
makes
how
sense.
you can uncanon
Property
that.
damage, yeah, like, they're not going to catch Sonic. Like, they might prove that Sonic did it. They can't catch Sonic for property damage, so why would he care about property damage?
You know, it's funny because
It's not a crime
you're,
if you can outrun the police.
you're exaggerating it a bit,
Exactly.
but at the same time, you
Unless you
actually
get caught.
what you're saying is quite a bit more justified in this game. Is the funny part. Like, truly, Sonic is being framed for a crime he didn't commit. But the funny thing is,
Yeah.
everything that he's done trying to escape from the police could put him in away for years.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Look, you gotta commit crimes to prove you didn't commit a crime.
Right.
I'll remember that.
He can
The
be
only way to
to-
prove your innocence is through committing crimes, otherwise you are not getting that evidence fast enough.
he can be exonerated by the strength of his new kicks.
Oh,
Oh
right.
yes, the kicks.
Yes. Product placement.
Yeah, so Sega had a
Because
licensing
for-
deal with a company called Soap, which makes these grind shoes.
Does the company even exist anymore?
No, Soap has been dead for years.
I thought so.
And it's funny because people call these the Soap shoes. There was never actually a product that looked like this from Soap, which is why Sega is
Sure.
allowed to keep using them.
Right. That's what I figured was the case.
Their proper name is the 2G High Speed shoes, which I guess implies that the normal Sonic shoes are the 1G High Speed shoes. But I like them, but also you can tell that Sonic's model wasn't quite made for them because they kind of distort and clip through his legs.
They are also they're kind of way too big.
They're very distinct. They're very visually distinct.
That's certainly true.
They don't seem cohesive with Sonic's design most of the time.
It explains why they've never come back in normal design in his normal design as far as I know.
Although I should say, I'm saying this not meshing with their design completely off of memory, because I did not have Sonic.
Oh, yes.
Oh god,
Oh,
what did you
boy.
replace him with?
I had Mike Wazowski.
God fucking damn it.
All right.
All right.
And it really looked out of place on Mike Wazowski.
Didn't change the shoes, of course.
No, of course you can't.
It was the same shoes.
So Cityscape is a nice microcosm of Sonic's gameplay and his new moves in this game, which includes the somersault and the rail grind. And I think that rail grinding is a net benefit for the series, and somersault is not.
Agreed.
The somersault move is very inoffensive. I don't really care. It's fine. It's not really needed, but I don't think it hurts anything.
Well, I think it
Uh,
does because it delays your ability to spin dash. You can't do the spam dash in this game.
Oh yeah.
I mean, unless you remap the controls, but you know.
Oh, that?
Yeah, but like the way the controls initially worked, I do think the somersault like hurt the game quite a bit. Because not enough buttons on the initial
Oh,
controls.
that's not the fault of the somersault per se. But yes, very much. Oh, I didn't mean to somersault. Guess I'll die now. That does
Yeah.
happen.
That does definitely
That can
happen.
happen with a lot of moves, though, actually. Just using the wrong move.
Yeah, but somersault felt the most egregious to me.
Mm.
But yeah, I wouldn't fault that as the somersault itself. But if you're complaining about not being able to spam the spin dash, honestly, I hated that you can just spam the spin dash. I hate that you have to spam the spin dash to get all the A mission stages. It just feels so cheap. I'm not a fan of boost gameplay, by the way. But the grinding, which you also mentioned, top tier. Oh my gosh, the grinding is just so good. I love it. It's amazing.
Would
It
be
was great to see Sonic on his grind set.
Honestly, I think grinding is probably my favorite movement in Sonic. So that's fun.
well, and this is the game where it feels the best because this is the game where you actually balance with it and can sort of, use Sonic's weight and momentum to speed up. Whereas in the modern games, it's just an auto scroller. But
Yeah, that's fair.
Yes, exactly. I don't really care much for just automated sections, but the grinding is not just an automated section. They don't get too much use out of it in this stage. But yes, there are a few curves where you have to sort of lean the right way to keep up the momentum, and sometimes they're broken up, so you have to jump and land on the next rail to keep up the speed, and that is very fun.
and yeah, Cityscape it's got good platforming. It's got good environment details. I do think that this game's lighting is not as psychedelic as Adventure One, but I think that the detail in the environments makes up for it most of the time.
Mm.
City Escape has a lot of returning billboards that are just hilarious. There's just too many to mention, honestly. But I'm gonna touch on one that just really hit me, which is You Can Touch Future 10 Ring Item Expo. They're really canonizing the level objects in the world. Like, it's not a break of world building. No, those actually exist, and I don't know why they're there, where they come from exactly.
They're there to make Sonic's tax situation complicated.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
No, there are a lot of great ads in this game. This is the game that brings in Chaos Cola, of course.
Oh yes.
And, there's also one that just says, playing SA2 is habit forming. Don't turn off.
There are a lot of aspects that aren't exclusive to this stage, but they just come up here, and so I'm going to mention them. I don't know why, but for some reason, the devs decided to put a lot of really useless objects around the stage that you can pick up for some reason. Like, this stage has tires. There's no reason to pick them up at all, but you can.
Wait, there's tires you can pick up?
Yeah.
You can throw them at
Yeah.
enemies and they'll blow up.
I mean, who's going to do that instead of
You know,
just homing
it's-
attacking them?
It's funny you mentioned that, Devin, because that'll come up again for me in a later stage.
Alright.
Well, so they do make use of the, item holding mechanic, but you can just pick up random stuff. No, it's true. Yeah, throwing things at enemies, but not for tires. Another thing you can throw, actually, as it happens, is Omo Chow, who is introduced in this game.
Tutorial NPCs. Don't you like tutorial NPCs?
I mean, it's not that egregious because you can just ignore Omochow.
Oh, I turned him off. I used mods to make him disappear from the game entirely, but it
Yeah, I
is...
think the mod. I think that was one of the mods you included, and it didn't work for me.
So,
Also, I just really like how Omochow looks, so I left Omochow on.
All right, what do you look like?
Omochow's annoying as shit, but I just love how Omochow
Oh,
looks.
you're just
being
saying
a
you like his
robot cow.
design. You didn't turn him into anything.
Okay.
No,
Oh, okay.
Omochow
Oh.
stayed the same.
Okay, fair enough.
Why would I change Omochow? I don't think there's even mods for that.
I mean, I'd be surprised if there weren't. But
At the very least, I did not see any.
yeah, Omo Chow in theory, I think is fine. Certainly you can do worse than this game, I think. But it's a little annoying that sometimes he'll just activate on his own, it seems like. I
Mm.
wish you had more control. Like maybe if you explicitly picked him up, then he would activate instead of just like running into him.
Or
Or
just give
just,
us an
That's
interact
annoying.
button like we're used to having for things.
right, an interact
Yeah.
button, exactly. The fact that he just activates on his own is annoying, but I don't think in
Especially
theory there's any
after like
problem.
dying on something and Omo Chow tries to give you a tip
Oh
and
god.
it's like not related to how you died
Oh,
at all.
I
Yeah.
wasn't gonna mention that until we got to the bosses, but yes.
Well, we can actually get to the bosses, because other than the big finale of City Escape, where a giant truck chases you through the city, crashing through all of the cars that you would have if you hadn't before.
Also, at least one building, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
Yes, where the
funny.
government tries to hit you with the money machine.
The government doesn't
They-
seem to care much about
They have to
property either.
they have to
It's
justify
weird,
the tax usage on that truck.
I guess. Yeah, I mean there isn't anything more
This piece needed
about
to be redone anyway.
I don't have anything more about City Escape in particular. Just as you're like grinding, and if you pull off tricks, then you can get really hilarious score ratings like cool, tight, radical.
They're very indicative of the game's time.
Yes.
Yeah.
They are.
I love them so much.
Well, and that segues into one other new thing in this game, which is that they rank you after stages. In this case, there's no S rank yet; it just goes from A to E. And
Yeah, Voter S hadn't been invented yet.
I fucking hate ranking in Sonic games. It makes me self-conscious about how I play in a way that I don't want to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna be
yeah.
honest. Few things hurt more than having so much trouble through a stage, barely making it through, and then your character is like, "Man, that was the worst ever. I must have it off day to day or something to that effect."
Yeah,
And they
nothing
do
worse
an
than
E
just
rank.
hearing barely made it when you're already thinking that to yourself, and the character just rubs it in your fucking face that you're garbage.
This is why, like, in Lost World, it's a separate mode that's just a time attack, and in Frontiers, it's just one objective you can get out of many. Just don't have the game condescend to be.
So, in my opinion, this would be fine if they just didn't give you ranks in story mode, only when you
Yeah.
selected the level
Yeah,
after the fact.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because I will say I do appreciate the ranks as a purely optional thing because oh boy, I 100% this game too, and it's very satisfying to just get all the tricks down perfectly.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I don't mind being told that I'm good when I do good.
Basically, yes. Obviously being kicked when you're down is horrible, but achieving a reward is not. So
Just make all the best ranks absurdly easy to achieve. That's what you need.
if
Anywho.
you happen to find a key in this level shaped like a Chow, then instead of being sent to a boss immediately afterward, you get sent to the Chow Garden, which I think is such a vastly improved way of handling Chow. So you don't have to go out of
Yes.
your way to go to the Chow Garden in between stories running through the action stage. No, you're just sent there and you can drop off your animals and chaos drives. It's much better.
Yeah, the Chow Garden, we spent so many hours on it as kids, raising, we'll get a
yeah.
Hero Chow and a Dark Chow, and we'll power this up so we can do karate and racing. There is so much to this. It's an entire separate game.
And I even ended up getting a Chaos Chow in my initial, playthrough all the way back then.
Wow.
Hell yeah.
I put in all that effort. I know, Lauren, you ended up helping me out with getting some of the, rare, breeded Chow.
Yeah.
The stuff to get the invisible Chow.
The
and,
tiny Chow
semi-translucent
Garden comes in clutch.
Yeah, it's a good time. I don't know if we have to say that much more about it. I was like, oh god, am I gonna waste a bunch of time on this in SA1? Then it's like, no, not really. It's like, because the Chow is deceptively simple. It's just that it takes a while to grind.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest. If we wanted to talk about Chow, we honestly should just do an episode solely on Chow.
You know what? Maybe
Please.
that's something we'll do further down the line.
Please God.
As in, not now.
Exactly.
Yeah, alright. We're moving on. Sonic's first boss is not Eggman. It is a gun mech called Bigfoot, piloted by some guy.
He just
F-6.
disgraced to mechs everywhere.
I mean, I think
It's a decent fight.
it's fine. Are you? I assume you're just talking design-wise.
Oh no, I also don't enjoy the fight.
Oh,
I just
well,
find
I
it kind of
mean,
boring.
it certainly isn't a standout, but you certainly can do a lot worse, even in the game we covered recently in the Adventure series. But yeah, it's fine. I think the thing that makes it slightly better than it might have been is you don't have to wait all the time for its weak spot to come up, because if you're good, then you can use the boxes to hit it even when it's flying through the air, which is very satisfying.
It's also good on replay because if you already have the bounce bracelet, you can just use that to hit him whenever you feel like. It's sort of a push and pull between the wait to hit them points and the actually be able to, do the fight fast points. So they're in sort of a transitional period between this and making something better.
Right. It's weird that they totally dialed completely the direction from the classic games. Because in the classic games, you can just damage boost and destroy every boss in like 2 seconds. But in the adventure games, for some reason, they're like, no, 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 you can't go fast in a Sonic boss. It's like, wrong. What? Huh? But they're realizing that was stupid a little bit. I am going to bring up another poster here because there is a Planet of Chaos movie poster
Oh yeah, the
here,
Planet of the Apes parody.
which makes me think, wait a minute. Did they make a movie out of the disaster in Sonic Adventure?
You know full well they did.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Listen, we have Titanic in the real world, and I'm pretty sure there are
Yeah,
multiple 9/11
yeah, people are
movies.
unhinged enough.
Yeah.
Seems too soon, but I don't know. I
Well,
wonder how long it has been since
that
Sonic
would be my
Adventure.
guess. What is the time gap?
Officially, Sega doesn't like to pretend that it's been ever any more than a year between any Sonic game and any other Sonic game, but that's just they don't want to have concrete ages for characters and stuff.
Right.
So, we're not going to worry about the time scale because there's not a lot of ways for it to really make a ton of sense in that regard, but also it just doesn't
Yeah.
matter that much.
No, it's not like a game with heavy intergame lore.
I'm thinking, honestly, that's probably right. It can't have been more than like a year. That's the way it feels to me.
Probably not, which means they threw that movie together real damn fast.
That was, yeah, that was why I asked the question originally.
Well, the next scene is the classic rival introduction. Sonic beats up the robot, but then, someone's standing on top of the robot.
It's Edgy the Hedgy.
It's Shadow the Hedgehog.
It's also Sonic.
And
Oh my God.
God damn it. Yes, the military has mistaken him for the likes of you.
Is the
Sonic-
military just
And
really
only the
stupid?
military did that.
As far as right
It's
now,
not
only the military.
the
has.
military ever, but yeah, for now. So I suppose let's just get this out of the way right now. Shadow's design was originally different, which made the script make a lot more sense, and then they made
Oh,
him,
I didn't-
all
I
black
didn't know that.
and quite distinct from Sonic. Originally, he was like a darker blue, I think.
Huh, interesting.
I've seen the design before.
He had a
makes a lot more
scar over his
sense.
eye, and he was like a little bit buff. I'll say
Okay,
this:
that makes a lot more sense.
they call that old version the Terios design because he used to be named Terios. And I'll say this: I like his actual current design better, even if it breaks the script.
Yeah, no, the Edgy the Hedgy design looks pretty cool.
We're
But
adults. We have
just
to
change
admit
the
at
plot.
some point that Shadow the Hedgehog actually is just fucking cool.
Oh no, I like Shadow, and it's funny. It takes a later character like Infinite to make me realize, he wasn't quite that over the top. He could have gotten a lot worse.
He
yeah.
really isn't. I just like calling him Edgy the Hedgy.
Yeah, for being known like over the top edgy, he's really not that over
No,
the top
he's
in his
more-
design.
And this is why this is my favorite game use of Shadow, is because Shadow is cocky. You get the impression that he's actually having just as much fun as Sonic with a lot of this stuff.
He's just
Yeah.
able to cover it up a lot easier.
Honestly, pretty solid introduction. He just shows up with a Chaos Emerald, taunts Sonic, runs in circles around them, and then leaves.
Pretty much.
The way that Sonic just figures out everything that happens in that cutscene just felt kind of off to me, but
Yeah, well, and in the English version, this is our first major case of bad audio mixing, where Sonic goes, "Hey, it's not his speed, must be using the Chaos Emerald to warp. Name is Shadow." And it's like, what?
Man, I'm sure glad I played in Japanese again.
I specifically complain in my notes about it being a Giorno moment. Where he just looks at it and figures it out.
Yeah, honestly, this has been a problem through a lot of Sonic media, where he's just really smart and needs to figure out what he needs for the plot in a second. Not all the time, but sometimes.
It's kind of nice that they don't just portray Sonic as being a bumbling idiot, but he shouldn't just figure it out immediately.
Crash Bandicoot, who's that? Yeah, no, I think it's a little contrived. I think that him realizing that he's not fast but actually is teleporting is fine,
Right.
but him realizing that the Chaos Emerald is doing it. I mean, I guess he shouts Chaos Control, but still.
I mean,
Yeah.
It's a fine scene.
Yeah.
It's a good scene, I would say, actually.
And then Sonic gets kidnapped by the cops for real this time, not willingly.
hmm.
And then we cut to something completely different. There really is
Yeah.
no transition between Sonic in the city and then Knuckles in the desert.
This will continue to be a problem at other points in this game, too.
Because for for a good chunk of his story, Knuckles has basically nothing to do with Sonic and Tails.
I wasn't
Yes.
just talking about Knuckles.
In proper Knuckles fashion.
But, yes,
Yes.
proper Knuckles.
Fair, yeah. I guess it's true for a lot of the story feels a bit disjointed at times.
Well, and
Oh,
this
yeah.
this cutscene does set up one of the more disappointing things about this story. So, we have Knuckles in the desert with the Master Emerald somewhere. I don't know if this is I don't know where this is, but it doesn't matter. And this scene does
We could never
important-
comprehend a brain such as Knuckles.
This scene does
Yeah.
importantly bring back an old trait of Knuckles' character, because Knuckles' whole deal here is that wherever he is, he has the Master Emerald out, but he's struggling because there is a woman trying to steal it from him, and as we've learned from Sonic Jam, Knuckles' weakness is girls. And so we have created Rouge the Bat, whose
girl
design
Knuckles.
does not hit nearly as hard after several months of Stephen Butler drawing fat furry titties, but is easily the most sexualized thing to ever come out of Sonic Team, and she loves shiny rocks.
This is the
Yeah.
stupidest character
Yep.
design in the entire Sonic the Hedgehog series.
I
Who
have to
allowed
agree.
this?
Rouge's design is pretty bad.
I guess Izuka.
Hey, let's not just pretend Rouge's design is Rouge's only flaw.
I don't have a huge problem with her character.
Yeah, her
It's a little
character's-
basic sometimes.
At this point in the game, I hate her character. At this specific point in the game.
She is
well-
just
Later, I like her a bit more, but like when her only personality is shiny rock, that drives me insane.
I
That's
think
fair.
it's a front because I think she's playing it up a little bit.
I
Yeah,
see-
she is, but that's what I'm saying at this point in the game. I hate her.
Okay,
character.
it's not a great introduction if that's what you mean.
It
Sure.
is a pretty weak introduction.
I like that she is just a self-interested kind of jerk for, at least from Knuckles' perspective, for the whole thing, because he's just like, I've been stuck on this friggin' rock, guarding this other rock my whole life, and here, this giant boob lady comes and tries to take this. This is my first, like, primary female interaction, and it's like this.
Oh, that explains a lot.
Well, I mean, I think that's why Rouge is, like, over-sexualized. I don't love the design. I think that there's some things that I kind of like about it. Not in this game. Her proportions are really weird in this game, but,
Her model is like extra janky compared to the rest of them.
like, I think they intentionally did this because they wanted to specifically make Knuckles flustered, which is really
yeah.
weird, and I don't like
Yeah.
that, but I see the intent. But it doesn't stop him, because Knuckles is just like, screw it, especially after Eggman shows up and is like, I want the emerald too! And he just punches the emerald and breaks it on purpose.
So
And he is so calm when he does it.
Well,
Before
I'm
we-
pretty sure he knows full well he can just put it back together.
I know, but I just love seeing that from Knuckles, just like how calm. He's like, this is the best way to get out of this situation, and just fucking smashes it.
I mean,
we're going too
Like,
quickly
I
here.
love this calm, focused side of Knuckles.
Yeah, he is very calm about it at first. Rouge is literally like, you idiot, what have you done? And he's like, oh no, I just destroyed my precious artifact so it wouldn't get stolen. Perfectly reasonable move. This is such a contrived reason to rope Knuckles into the plot. Like, this
Yeah.
is seriously the best they could think of. Let me go back a second. Eggman. Literally, he's just like, I was just passing by and detected the Master Emerald. I figured I might as well steal it. I'm sure I'll think of a use for it later. There's literally no reason he needs the Master Emerald, and he doesn't even care when it gets destroyed. He's like, okay, fine. Back to my actual plan. Wow, they were not trying at all.
Look, when you're on that level of evil, you get away with these kinds of things.
Listen, it's more justification
He's a
than Knuckles
big
gets
time
in later
villain
games.
now.
I do very much appreciate that Knuckles is in this game, but man, this is such a step down from Sonic Adventure.
It's a very silly cutscene, yeah.
I do love that Knuckles finally like lets us know what to do if someone's trying to take something of ours.
Break it.
Ah, yes.
Yeah, just break it. It's not worth
Yeah.
anything to them if you break it.
I'll remember that when someone's trying to grab something from my backpack at school.
Yeah, if someone tries to take your money, just tear it all up.
And I do note the thing you say about him being calm. This is Knuckles has voice actor change in this game too, Scott Dreer, and I think he does a good job. I think the voice acting in this game is better in general than the first one.
I think that's
Yeah,
true,
I would
probably.
say it's better.
Not amazing, but better.
No,
I can
No,
count
not
on the
amazing, but
English
better.
voice acting, but the Japanese voice acting wasn't bad either.
but a
No,
solid
Japanese guy's
80% of the time, I like Knuckles' voice in this.
He's got a very smooth tone to him, but
There were some lines that he under-delivered later, but like most of the time, I think he did a really good job with Knuckles in this.
yeah.
That's nice smooth tone, goes with the nice smooth music.
Well, and this is also the only time that I enjoy any part of Rouge's voice. Not really in this cutscene, but Lonnie Manella was literally the only good actress to play her ever. Except maybe Sonic Prime. I haven't watched a lot of that. But anywho, so Knuckles' gameplay is exactly the same as Sonic Adventure 1, basically. With
Was-
one
I-
key difference, which is that you can only track one emerald piece at a time, and the stages
Oh
are bigger.
yeah, yeah, that was
Yep.
stupid. I
The
feel
same
like
but worse. Let's go.
I feel like he's a lot faster though.
I hear what you're saying. However, I dig these stages so much. I don't understand why they restricted the radar like that. There's literally no reason to do that. It's just an artificial way to lengthen the stages.
They
But
did not need help being lengthened.
that's the thing. That's the thing.
Like they did a good job lengthening them by making them larger. They didn't need to put an artificial limitation on it.
Yeah, there was no need to make
Yeah.
it that much longer because I actually thoroughly enjoy how they've made the stages incredibly intricate. I love being able to run around and seek out every nook and cranny, but then having to backtrack and search everything again just after you find
Yeah.
a piece is a confusing choice, to be sure.
And that's why we use mods to let you track all of them.
Yes,
Wait,
you know,
there was
I'm
we had
not
a
one
mod-
to use
we had a
mods
mod
most
to
of the
do that?
time.
I didn't use a mod to do that because I decided
Wait.
I wanted to suffer, and I did
Wait.
suffer.
Was a mod that was supposed to do that? Why the fuck didn't it work?
It didn't work because I forgot to tell him about it until after this recording.
I did play without the mod because I'm a purist, but if there was a mod I was going to use, it might be this one. Honestly, just use it because that's the way the game should have been. Because,
Yeah.
honestly, great stages otherwise. I'm just a really big fan of the treasure
This-
hunting gameplay.
The stages do look cool, and they have really good music.
Oh, okay, yes. I was going to make that point. Man, the music. Whoever decided, oh, you know, we had a great rap for Knuckles' theme in the first game. Let's just make a new rap for all of Knuckles' stages.
And they all
Give them
slap.
a medal.
They all slap.
I would not go as far as to say they all slap. This one's good, but there's one later that I'm going to complain quite a bit about.
Oh, okay,
Honey
I
to
thought they all
pee.
slapped.
Doing
Well,
doing
I'll
raps
kill you
here,
later then.
Oh, Jesus.
which is actually spelled 100p, which is funny. But yeah, no,
Um,
Wild Canyon is all right. Like even with the one at a time thing, it's not so big that it's like annoying.
Yeah, this
Yeah,
is
well,
probably,
and the issue really isn't that egregious.
yeah, this was probably the only stage that I didn't have that big of a problem with.
Yeah, it's very tame, ease you
Yeah.
into it. It's just a big old T shape. It's not very big at all. It's very easy to map out the stage in your head and then just comb over it.
Yeah.
Not a whole lot interesting to talk about it though, I
No,
suppose.
'cause
the
it's-
one
Yeah, not really.
It's the treasure hunt gameplay. We already talked about it.
the
Yep.
one note I have is there are gun robots here and they attack Knuckles. I don't know why though. What's he done?
Well, you see, he also looks like Shadow.
You know, I'd buy that.
This is-
Honestly.
This is Federation territory. I don't know what they want here, but
I was looking for oil if they were based off of America.
yeah, it's possible.
You know, it's a desert, so sure.
Yeah.
I do have one other note, I suppose, which is regarding Knuckles' moveset, which is, you know, nothing too fancy. He's got like a twirling uppercut now. He can glide, obviously. But the best addition is if you're in the air, you can nosedive and just rocket to the ground at amazing speed.
The drill
That
dive.
that
yeah.
is really fun. I wish he was about half his speed, though, or maybe a third his speed.
Too fast for you.
He's way too fast.
All right.
That was the same problem I had in Adventure, I think. I actually don't remember. Been a whole, like, however long since we recorded.
Days. 3 days.
Literal days.
Wait,
Anyway,
we didn't just record Adventure 1?
anyway, So, we have the same thing happen again, where we get done with Knuckles' stage, and then we just hard cut to Tails and Amy just sort of appearing in this story to rescue Sonic. Tails specifies
Prison
that
break.
he
Yeah.
saw
Yeah.
that Sonic got captured on satellite TV.
Oh, the 90s or early 2000s. I don't remember.
And yeah, Sonic is held on Prison Island, which is, I guess, Alcatraz.
Yeah, well, so
It's
this
definitely
is
Alcatraz.
this is like the equivalent of a literal child breaking into Guantanamo Bay to get his best friend out of prison.
As
Listen, I
you
support
do.
it.
Yeah,
Two
well,
children.
I mean, this
True.
child, yeah, in a minute. This orange two-tailed child also like saved the entire city from
Yeah.
a missile. So yeah, I think that
Yeah,
that tracks.
and another Eggman robot.
I find
On
it
top of
funny
that,
though.
Prodigies are going crazy now.
I find it funny though that after that escapade of his, Tails learned nothing about pointless transformations. He's still a big fan.
Look,
It's
Tails
not
just
pointless.
really
He's a
wanted-
kid at the end of the day.
True,
Exactly.
true.
He really just wants to shoot a gun, and he lost his Glock upgrade from the last game. So
So sad.
Yeah, so Tails transforms his... I don't know if this is the Tornado 3 or what, but it
Tornado
becomes... It becomes a frigging mech walker so that he can have Gamma gameplay. But first, Amy is just here.
Yes.
Yeah.
She does.
How
that
did she
in
get to
this.
the island?
she is magical in the ways you would not understand.
So you know how
So-
like she could do the super jump when like she hit her like the ground with her hammer? She did
Yeah.
that really hard off screen.
Off the top of a building, baby.
You know what? That's amazing. I will take that. I was just gonna say something generic like Amy can handle herself. She had a story under herself. I could see her finding a way somehow. But yes, she just hammer flipped that far.
Maybe the
Yeah.
hammer works as a flotation
sure.
device.
Probably.
I mean, that's possible, I suppose.
Well, in
Um,
any case, she's getting attacked by Eggman right now. Which, why does Eggman give a shit?
So
He's
that
evil.
That is
Yeah.
explained later. This is one of the first instances of story crossover where details make more sense when you've played the Dark Story. But for now, he's just Eggman and he's evil, like Sid said, obviously.
I guess she's useful as a hostage sometimes, but yes. So
Oh
Tails
boy, foreshadowing.
Tails starts on a boss fight like Sonic in SA1. They didn't learn their lesson.
I mean, it's not the very beginning of the game this time, but sure, yeah.
But not just any boss fight, but a character boss fight. Our first character boss fight. And
Yay.
I guess in some ways this one is better, but this is mostly like a normal Gamma boss fight because the mechs have the shooting gameplay, and so a lot of what you do is just mash the shoot button.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
Button
just your
mash,
beep, 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 beep over and over and over and slowly go insane.
and you win. That's
Yeah.
all there is to it.
Yeah, pretty much.
The round one rival fights are just as pathetic as in Adventure 1.
Yes.
I don't even know why they bothered, to be honest.
I noticed that you
I-
specified round 1.
Oh,
Yep.
yes, yes. We'll get there, won't we?
Oh.
What was I going to say? Oh, yeah. If they had just condensed this into a cutscene, it would have been just the same. Because I do appreciate that, in my head anyway, Eggman has some respect for Tails now, because it seems that the two of them fight for a bit and don't really come up with a conclusive winner. At least that's how I consolidate the two stories. And then Eggman's just like, fine, and then leaves, rather than, being focused on finishing him off.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And ironically, sadly, Tails and Amy, both kind of have arcs about independence from Sonic and SA1. In this game, they kind of just repeat those arcs.
I guess so. There's no super clear end to it. At the very, very end of the game, I understand the least what he got all out of the adventure, but we'll get there, I suppose. Amy, though, I do like Amy being here. It's cool to hear her theme again, even if I hate it, but, fan service is fan service. But she doesn't have much reason to be here. She's kind of just thrown in.
Yeah, because you can't play as her in this game, so she really only has a couple moments, and one big moment at the end of the game, but yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
But nothing too big to comment on yet, I guess. She's here. She would try to break out Sonic 2. That makes sense.
She
Yeah.
should have just come with Tails. I don't know why they couldn't do that.
Well, I don't think they knew the other one.
Because
was
then they
coming.
couldn't have the running joke. Of
Yeah,
just Amy
yeah.
getting abandoned constantly.
Oh,
That is
yes.
that is a weird thing that they do in this game, yeah.
It's
So-
very uncomfortable because it paints this idea that like Amy's incapable, and we just played Sonic Adventure 1 before this. Like we know she's not incapable.
That's the thing.
Yeah. Well, Breaking into Prison Island, we go through Prison Lane, which is a shooting stage, and it is mostly hallways and getting blindsided by enemies.
Yep.
It's fine. Yeah, it's kind of annoying, but you're gonna get a lot worse.
I think fine summarizes the stage perfectly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I say that
This
like, oh, you
is
get
the most
blindsided.
mid 5 out of 10 thing I've done in my life.
Yeah. Well, it's like I say you get blindsided. That's not really that big a factor here. It's weird though that it's only ever tail stages where I find myself complaining about enemy placement. And it's the case for
Right.
this stage. It's not really the case in Eggman stages. Like we'll get
Yeah.
to those, but I think
I
that
have the inverse problem, I think.
all right.
Hmm.
Well, we'll see.
I agree with you anyway.
I think that about half the stages in these games were designed with a lot less time than the other half, and so it feels unbalanced depending on which story you're playing.
Oh, that's possible. I will say I do like at least the return of the locking on system from Gamma's story, because I will always be immensely satisfied to get ridiculously large combos and blast everything at the same time.
Yeah.
But Tails, really, Tails. Why did you choose Tails for this type of gameplay? It's just bizarre. He's just locked in his mech, which makes very little sense when you fall prey to hazards down below, because, like, couldn't he just eject?
It
No.
just felt bad being
The
the
mech's
character that we
so
know can
heavy.
fly, not being able to fly.
Yeah,
I don't
you
get
took the
that.
lightest character and made him into the heaviest.
That too.
Like,
Yeah.
I did not have the problem with the other mech character. The other mech character I thought felt fine, but Tails, I was
Yeah.
constantly just feeling like I was being handicapped.
There
It
is
could be a placebo thing, but I felt the same.
there is a common conception. I don't know how true it is, but there is a very common repeated belief that Tails was originally meant to be just in cutscenes and not a playable character in this game. And the fact that they
Oh.
had to shoehorn him into the other gameplay style is certainly evident of that.
Who was going to take the place then? I don't get how that makes any sense.
I
Is
think
it just going to be Sonic and Knuckles?
so. The original trailer for this game only ever shows Sonic, Knuckles, and Eggman as playable characters. So maybe the
Huh.
story and its structure used to be totally different. I don't know. You know, it's like I don't even know if that's true. I'm just saying that like if it were true, this part would be the most like obvious reason.
Back to the gameplay. One other change they made, interestingly, is to give the mechs traditional health bars instead of just using rings.
Okay.
The rings do heal you, but you've got a health bar. Very strange.
I was
for
so
a Sonic
surprised when Chaos Drives healed me.
Wait, do they?
Do they?
I was healing off of picking up Chaos Drives at one point.
That
I
would
don't
have been
know
nice
if it was
to
a
know.
bug or
really?
if it was a mod I had installed or
It
what.
might have been a mod. I don't remember that.
If it was a
Neither
mod,
do
it
I.
would have been like something included in a mod that was advertising something else entirely.
Well, and this is the thing, is that I don't think, like, even if this is a slower gameplay style, I don't really want you to have a traditional health bar, because the strength of rings in Sonic is that they keep the pace up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Although
don't understand.
in Tails
why
levels, there
people
wasn't
do this.
really a pace to keep up.
No, they are a bit chunky.
No, not at all. I guess it's an interesting mix-up in terms of gameplay. I don't know that it's a good mix-up, but it is unique, I suppose.
It's one of
Yeah.
those things I dislike it on Tails, and then I do it on Eggman. It's like, no, it makes sense here.
Well, yeah, because you're used to seeing Eggman with a health bar. I'm trying to
Yeah.
restrain myself from commenting on Eggman's gameplay because we're not there. But I have to say, the
If you
game
collect
has
a
the
Chow
gall
key.
to tease you with mechless Tails. Like, I'm offended. Just
Oh yeah.
if Tails was a mech in the Chow Garden, it wouldn't have made sense. But at least I wouldn't have been mad, and now I'm just furious.
They should have just done that, but then just given him a gun.
Now I really want to play with Tails in a mech in the Chow Garden.
Do
You
it.
can do that. Well, now we're approaching what I think is probably the best part of the story in terms of structure, but we have this whole cutscene where Amy frees Sonic from a prison cell covered in math. He became the supreme math being.
Sonic is a math major or something. No, those are not from him. But I really like this scene. It's like a perfect Sonic character moment, because as Amy and Sonic are talking, Sonic just can't sit still. He's constantly pacing back and forth,
Yeah.
stretching, like
I love
on
that-
point.
I love that he cannot handle being in like a confined space.
Well, and this
He's
is
Bro's just getting
Like, I'd be
antsy.
surprised if Sonic didn't go out and commit real crimes after being, like, stuck in a confined space.
Mhm.
Well, and this is the best of the Sonic and Amy dynamic in my opinion too, because like Amy, in Adventure 1 she was fine, but in other Sonic games Amy is borderline obsessive, and here it's like she breaks in to save him, and he's like, "Here, get me out of here," and she's like, "You'll have to marry me first," and he's like, "No," and she's like, "Ah, fine," and just lets him out.
Yeah.
Like it's not
She
that
tried,
serious.
failed, and said, "Fuck it, whatever."
Yeah, she took her shot, and then if it didn't hit, and it's fine.
Yeah, she slid into Sonic's DMs, and he said no, and said, "All right, no problem, fam."
Understandable. Have a nice day.
Yep.
The way I see it is not entirely different from what you just described, and I do definitely like the dynamic. I think of it more that they're just having some banter. She's just like, "Will you marry me if I let you out?" He's like, "No," but she doesn't like, "Ugh." She's like, "I thought I had you this time," in a way that sounds really joking to me.
Aw,
So I
shucks.
so I think the two of them are just like joking around, like, "Oh, this is the way we used to be," but now they're just like friends, and she's not clingy anymore. That's the way I saw
I
it.
do like the interpretation of Amy just being in it for the sick pants.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's funnier.
Yeah, no, good
It also,
scene.
like, makes Amy a stronger character if it's, like Lauren said, just poking fun at how she used to be, like
Yeah,
self-awareness.
she's just
Right.
doing it for the memes.
Just not a big deal. Yeah. And then we get to go into Metal Harbor, which I really like this stage.
Yes, good stage. What a rocking theme too.
I think I said at the time when we did Speed Highway that I thought it was peak Sonic level design. I think I have to rescind that and give that to Metal Harbor now
It
for the
is
moment.
it is pretty strong. You have all of these different weird curves. There's a lot of different shortcuts you can take,
Yeah.
and yeah, and you got Lightspeed shoes also as well.
I love the
Yes.
Lightspeed shoes so
yes.
much.
The light features are a lot more fun in this game.
This is the better version of the Lightspeed dash because all it takes is one button press, and if you're playing a modded version, it doesn't have to be the same one that can do the bounce attack. And
Yep.
it just rockets you along a trail of rings. It's mostly reliable. I haven't really had it like misfire too much, like in fucking Sonic Heroes. Oh my god, that thing is so
I
bad.
had a couple times, but I think that might have just been my weird control setup.
Yeah. Controls aside,
Right.
I have to give
When
them
it
mad
works,
props
it works.
because they turned a boring gimmicky mechanic into, a mechanic that actually flows with the gameplay. It's excellent. Yeah,
Well, and it's
like
like
if
so good for like picking up rings for Chow too. Like it serves a double purpose and it does both of them well.
true. I mean, in the first game, you got all the rings as well, but I think they realized, oh, it's actually good now. So they use the light speed dash a lot more in this game too. So
Mhm.
it's a lot better source of rings because it's just all over the place too. So yes, that
Yeah.
that is always nice.
The increase in fluidity just helps it out so much.
I think this game might have the more rings per stage than SA1.
That sounds
Um,
right to me. But
Which
Yeah,
is
I've been
ironic
wrong.
because one of the ways you can get a guaranteed A rank in this game if you get every ring in a stage, but the mechanic is underdeveloped because plenty of stages have misplaced or out of bounds rings.
Of course.
Oh my gosh.
Incredible.
It's stupid. Do not ever always check when you have, a tally. So many games make this mistake. I can't believe it. Also, it's such a great way to get an auto A rank, but you can only use it in a few stages.
Well, and it's especially funny in this stage because the normal way to get the A rank, because at the end of this stage, there's this big like missile test going on. I don't know what the United Federation is doing with this thing. If they're just, are they preparing for
We're gonna
war
nuke
with
the
somebody?
sun.
Yeah.
Nuke the sun.
And you run up the side of it and you grab onto it and jump off before another metal board to the end. But there's a second higher handle that you grab, and you have to grab that to get the A rank a lot of the time. I don't know
Oh,
if it's
really?
literally you have to, but it
I
gives
think it's
you a lot
pretty
of
much
points.
impossible, if
Oh.
Yeah.
not impossible. Yeah, this part is grinded into my brain because of how many times I do it over and over for the A rank. The first time it took me a few tries. It is a little annoying. I don't know if it's too much. I think it's probably fine, but it can feel like a bit of a bothersome barrier to just throw at the end of the stage.
Well, especially
if
since if you screw up, you die, and when you die, you get set to 0 points.
oh well.
Oh yeah.
Which means if you
Yes.
screw that up, you're restarting the stage.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's also true if you're trying to A rank it. So I would say that's probably the weakest part of the stage, but I guess it doesn't break up the flow because it's literally at the end. But otherwise, quite solid.
Yeah, good stage. And then, as we get out of that stage, we get more into the jungle area.
There was a jungle part. Literally, I was playing this game like, what? How are we in a jungle all of a sudden? It makes sense when you see the island overall, but you can't even see it in the distance in Harbor, so it's a little strange.
And we have probably the most infamous cutscene in the game. Everybody memes
Oh
on this.
boy.
It's Sonic versus Shadow. I'll make you eat those words.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
I love this cutscene so much.
This is pretty great. Sonic and Shadow just trash talking each other. It's wonderful.
Sonic and Shadow trash talking each other by interrupting each other.
Well, yeah, that's the unintentionally funny part.
There is a mod that makes it so that the cutscene dialogue doesn't overlap in this game, but I know that nobody here wanted to use it because, well, Bruce was playing in Japanese, but I know both of you wanted to hear the authentic original.
I needed the authentic characters cutting each other off, like coming up with their comebacks before they even hear what they're coming up with a comeback for.
We've been saying "I'll make you eat those words" to interrupt each other for years. It's iconic. I mean, it's stupid, but it's iconic.
That's the best kind of iconic.
Ditto for the fight in many ways. This Shadow fight is completely clumsy.
Yes.
This fight is weird. It's funny. Half the time I'll beat this fight no problem. The other half of the time I will accidentally homing attack into the water and die.
Yep. Yep, that's me.
So
I had an interesting experience where I think I fell off as I was doing the final blow to Shadow.
I've done that before too.
Yep.
And then it's just like, oh no, you did fine, buddy. Don't worry.
Listen, better to die and then win than to win and then die.
I'm not complaining.
True.
I was just kind of confused.
It is very funny. What's also funny is the continued dialogue in this fight. We talked about Shadow's character a little bit. This is when they get a little like, oh, huh, you're really so serious, aren't you? When you hit them and then they're just like, I'm the coolest.
I love "I'm the coolest." It's so amazing.
Shadow's ego gives me life in this game.
It's great because he's just like somber in a lot of other games, and this one he's just like, haha. He's like a little playground bully. I love him.
Yeah.
And yeah, the
This Shadow could be bleeding out and would still think he's like the greatest thing to ever happen to anyone.
he's the TF2 scout, but with a monotone voice.
Pretty much.
He sees Tom Jones on his deathbed and realizes he's God's gift to women. Yeah, no, the dialogue is hilarious. The fight is ridiculous because it's supposed to be that he homing attacks at you, you dodge out of the way, and then he's not facing you, and then you hit him from behind. But it almost never works correctly. And if you have the bounce bracelet, again, you can just cheese it by just slamming him into the ground repeatedly. But after this, we get this post-fight scene where Eggman calls Shadow on his wristwatch and says, get out of here before the island explodes with you on it. And Sonic's like, blows up!
Delivery aside, this is a great stage intro.
I do think
That's
so.
a pretty rad stage intro.
The way that the music starts as the cutscene is playing, and then the beat drops right when you hit the ground of Green Forest is really impactful. They love their good sort of tonal direction.
The music is so perfectly frantic and just a real bop as usual. And I appreciate that, you're supposed to get off quickly, and there is a timer in the stage, but it's not overbearing. It's really just to give it a frantic feel. I don't think anyone has ever really had trouble with it.
Probably not.
Not unless you're like screwing around with collectibles or something, yeah. It's very forgiving.
Yeah.
I'm not sure
It's
I have
very good usage of a timer on a stage.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I'm not sure I have a ton to say. It's like, I'm thinking, what does this stage actually have? Well, it's got vines that you swing from. That's just automated. And it's got the like half pipe curves that feel
I do love the
Don't
half pipes
work.
in it.
They don't always work. Yeah,
When
they're
you
a
run
But
to
little
when
the
they do,
side
they
and
feel
then you
great.
flip up and then fall off and die.
Oh yeah.
it feels like they just needed another vertice. It's like the models don't have enough curves.
Yeah, there are a lot of platforms in this game where they're just a little curved, and your character will just completely freak out when you're trying to stand on them like a normal person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's otherwise pretty great. I do like jungle aesthetic, nice aesthetic.
Yeah, I don't know what the
And
weird
yeah,
green bubbles floating out from below are, though.
the swamp gas. I don't know.
When I think that just going Sonic stage, boss fight, Sonic stage makes it like the most thrilling part of the hero story, probably.
Yeah, there are a lot of Sonic stages actually. It's pretty crazy.
When it's just how they're ordered and distributed that makes it like feel like there's not as much Sonic, especially since his stages are so much faster than the mech stages and the Knuckles stages, where we get another sudden jump cut to Knuckles in Pumpkin Hill, wherever the hell that is.
I
Uh,
don't know, but I want to be
I
there.
I love Pumpkin Hill so much.
I love the top tier
Yes.
meme song.
It's a top tier meme song. It's got the Halloween aesthetic. Halloween is like my favorite day of the year. Every fucking year, like I love Pumpkin Hill.
Pumpkin Hill is pretty great.
It is by far my favorite Knuckle stage.
Oh, I agree 100%.
Yeah.
Um, so
On
True.
aesthetic alone.
Oh yeah, I mean that's all you need.
Yeah.
It's the most cartoonish feeling stage aesthetic in this game. You know, it's like we haven't lost a lot of the colorful classic Sonic spirit just yet.
Mm.
That's true. But yeah, it is funny. You just jump cut to, and meanwhile Knuckles was doing this thing, but I'm
How-
not even
And this
now.
stage begs my favorite question the game makes me ask. Who is Larry?
I was about to mention that. Yes, in the great rap for Pumpkin Hill. What is it, like Ghost Pumpkin Soup or something?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's the
Ghost
title.
Pumpkin Soup.
Yeah, you hear about how a ghost got Larry, but who is Larry? Definitely the way
I'm
I
actually looking up the lyrics right now, so
Certainly
yeah, it's
The
Pumpkin
lyric
Hill.
has got Leary.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
a
that's
ghost
what I-
tried
that's
to
what I
approach me
thought.
and got leery.
It's just a weird sentence.
Also,
Um,
this has a lot of annotations on Genius, which is hilarious to me that someone has spent time annotating these lyrics.
Oh, of course
Listen, we
they
gotta
have.
get
Of
the
course.
deep truths.
Very worthy. I had a lot of trouble with this stage when I was younger playing this game the first time. This is my second Sonic game I think I played fully. But only fond memories. So like Wild Canyon, small stage, no problem. But this is the first real Knuckles stage. And it took me like hours to complete, but I didn't even
Odd.
care because it's an amazing stage. You've got so much cool stuff to see. You've got ghosts, you've got an unmanned train, gnarled trees, scarecrows, graves, and of course the incredible giant pumpkins that loom in the distance.
Yeah, I
also-
also have memories of the stage being hard as a kid. I don't know why I thought this stage was hard as a kid playing through it again.
Well, it's because it's all suspended over a giant bottomless pit. It's just that if you remember to glide, that's not a big deal.
So
True.
I don't think I found the stage hard because this was my first time playing through the game in its entirety. I think my problem was I just couldn't figure out where the emeralds were.
It's all very spaced out, yeah.
Yeah, and it doesn't help that we didn't bring up the hints last time, but the hints are kind of useless most of the time.
I'll tell you, they're a godsend when you're trying to get an A rank.
Oh,
But
I'm
in
sure
regular
they are.
gameplay, no. Yes, you are quite correct.
Like I tried to figure out like if anyone had broken down how the hint system worked, and like I found a Google chart that
Yes.
all of the hints
Yes.
and all and the different combinations that was still useless because why are there so many hints?
Because there are so many locations. Like the amount of
yeah.
custom tailored locations for emerald pieces in this game is insane.
It is insane, and I
Well,
think it's kind of
There's
it made me kind of hate the knuckle stages from here on out.
well,
You
there's
know,
three
I
tiers
respect
of,
I respect your standpoint because it takes a long time, and if you're not in it, then you're not in it. But man, I'm in it. I don't care. These environments are just amazing.
Fair enough.
I could run around these places for hours not looking for anything. There's just so much stuff
enjoyed
to
the
see.
environments,
They really pieced
but
it together in a great,
I think
interesting
if I
way.
wasn't
They
playing
even
this-
have like different distinct locations with like names, on which I will
Yeah.
tell you like, oh, this is Pumpkin Mountain, and oh, I don't remember the names of the places, but they
It was like
feel
Pumpkin Mountain and like Ghost Mountain or something
Yeah.
like that.
but they feel like actual places rather than, you know, I mean, obviously it's still a video game stage at the end of the day, but rather than just, oh, I'm running through on a set course, It's just a place to run around in. You know, it's like an adventure stage,
I
except
A
you
agree.
place
actually
that
have
makes
stuff to do.
absolutely no sense to exist, but one that clearly in world does.
Oh, I do agree with that. I think the places look great and they feel like actual places. I think my problem really just ends up being the way we're doing this is that at the end of the day, the fact that we're kind of playing these on a time limit,
It can
that
make you
kind
feel
of
pressured.
it bit me in the ass a bit to the point where my main method for completing the Knuckles stages was if I couldn't figure out what the hints were trying to tell me, I'd just kill myself and get a new set of hints.
Oh.
Luckily, I had infinite lives because I'm a cheating bastard.
You mean you're just playing the way the game should have been designed?
Hell yeah, screw lives.
Yeah.
Yeah, lives are
I
horrible.
honestly didn't
system.
notice lives coming up in this game.
I mean, I to be honest,
Like-
I didn't die. Well, I died a lot because I was killing Knuckles a lot. But
I
other
didn't
than
turn on
that, I didn't
infinite
die
lives,
much.
and I felt like I had infinite lives in this game.
I'm sure I probably could have survived without infinite lives if I wasn't killing Knuckles every time I couldn't figure out a location of
I think that's
Of
fair.
the shards.
Like, let's remember, Bruce is the only one out of the four of us who did not grow up with this game in a major way.
No, I was about to say, Bruce, I hear you completely, and I think in your position, I probably would have said the same thing.
I think
There are
it is
plenty of
interesting.
games we've covered that I'm like, I probably would have enjoyed this more if I wasn't just trying to get to the end.
Right.
Um,
That's partially my fault for putting the game off, until like the week we were supposed to record. Or I putting off about the last half of the game. So
It's
that's
fine.
my bad, to be fair. I had plenty of time to play it.
It's fine. This is a safe place. We can
Um,
say whatever we feel like.
But I do agree the stages all look great. All
Yeah.
the Knuckles stages are wonderful to witness.
Well, anywho, that's Pumpkin Hill. We need to move on, because we have to catch a TV broadcast. Dr. Eggman, who is done calling himself Dr. Robotnik. That phrase is not anywhere in this game. But Dr. Eggman broadcasts to the world that he has an orbital laser weapon to hold the planet hostage with.
As you do.
Okay,
Yeah.
I have multiple problems with this. A, on a physics level, and B, on a fucking I don't know what level.
Well, so this is a work of fiction. If you're
I
really
know.
questioning physics,
It's
I don't
the
know why
same
you're here.
problem I have with Dragon Ball, with destroying the moon. Which, granted, the moon isn't being destroyed yet.
No, Eggman
Spoilers.
uses the Eclipse
Excuse me,
Cannon.
spoilers.
No, it's in this cutscene. He
It's in
uses the Eclipse
cutscene.
Cannon to blow the moon in half, which he
Okay.
blows off the back half of the moon, the part that we can't normally see, which is very convenient for future games. But yeah, like if you did blow up any part of the moon, frankly, that's going to throw off tides on the Earth and plenty
Exactly.
of other things.
Also,
This is all part of Eggman's plan.
building a giant orbital space station like that will probably fuck up tides in the first place.
So
Because the arc is
we ha-
enormous.
we have no idea how tides work in Sonic's world.
Well, I assume it's like Earth.
Sonic's world is Earth. Like, that is
Yeah.
canon.
It's Earth with, like, different land masses, I assume.
Now,
It's
it
like
does have
Pokemon
giant
World.
floating continents sometimes, so...
Okay, look, we don't have to worry about those. They aren't affected by physics, clearly. They're magical or some shit.
Okay,
My
then the ocean is
problem,
also
Like
magic.
the orbital space station.
My problem is not with trying to apply real-world logic to works of fiction, but trying to understand what's going on in the fictional world. Eggman suddenly is like, "Hello, everybody. I'm here, and I can destroy the moon now, and I'll kill you all, by the way, if you don't submit to my will." Just out of nowhere. Okay? Sure, man.
Is it revealed who built the Ark yet? I don't remember.
No,
Not yet.
this is completely out of nowhere. If you have
Okay.
not played any part of the Dark Story, you don't know what's going on.
To be fair, I know the plot of the game enough that I know who built the Ark. How did he get away with building it?
Gerald worked for the government. But
Okay,
It was
yeah.
a government project.
Yes, let's build a giant super weapon in space to hold the entire planet hostage for no fucking reason.
okay, the
I
Eclipse Cannon is something
assume-
else.
I assume it was probably not for use on the Earth because that's
Yeah.
stupid. But perspective.
But we're not at
extraterrestrial
Shadow the
threats,
Hedgehog
perhaps?
yet, so...
Yeah.
I guess.
Anyhow.
Fuck, yeah, fair enough.
Anyway,
I do like, as Eggman's making his announcement to the world, that there's text in the background that just says stuff like, I am a genius, I am great, I am brilliant, I am smart.
I like to think he
Eggman's trying
designed that
really
himself.
hard to have Shadow's level of ego, and it's just failing miserably. Like, I'm not
Wonderfully-
buying it.
Wonderfully in character for Eggman, though.
Yes,
Yeah.
100%.
It's good.
I'm not
Um,
buying it. I think he's putting it on. I don't think he actually thinks he's that good.
The point is, things are bad right now. Everybody's in crisis mode, and that means that we have to run through Mission Street, which puts me in crisis mode because fuck this stage.
Yeah, so I was like questioning myself playing the stage because I'm like, I've played this game before, multiple times in fact. I've gotten an A rank on this stage. Why am I hating it so much? The game goes out of your way to just make you have the worst possible time. Big
Dudes
old
fall out of
planes.
the sky to hit you in this level.
Yeah, big
Man.
old planes will snipe you, platforms will fall out of the sky. The game is just trying to kill you, and it's way too early. Like, not yet. Calm down.
And you
Man,
hit-
I
you get
feel like I
knockback.
didn't have that big of a problem with this stage. It just felt really boring.
Well, I think I think what they intend is for you to walk slowly through the level. So if you're doing that, then maybe it's not that big a deal. I always try to go fast against my better judgment, which is why, like, oh, when I get the dead air booster, I can just fly over stuff. Oh, something hit me and now I'm falling into a pit. It's like,
You know what won't help you when you're walking slowly is those really pretty small, actually, hexagonal platforms with their janky hitboxes, so that you're like, oh, I'll land on it, but you just hit a corner and Tails is like, nope, slip, dead.
Tails is very good at slipping on corners.
well, and this is the worst thing about the mech gameplay is that even if you're using the jet booster, which you get in this level, if you touch a wall while you are falling, you get shot downward.
Yep.
Yeah, that's physics. If we're talking about physics, that's physics.
I cannot stand that.
Yeah, I have to give the stage a medal, which is that it's the only stage on this most recent playthrough that I got angry at. I don't know why. It's this stage. There are plenty of other stages. There's also a boss battle, but this is the only stage, and I don't know why. I just bad luck or something.
Troublesome.
Yeah, my only notes on this stage are that the platform was clunky, and it at least made me feel more than Prison Lane.
Sure
Yeah.
did.
But not that those feelings were good, just that there were more of them.
And speaking of more, do you guys want more Knuckles?
Yes, of course I do.
Okay.
I mean, I want more of Knuckles, but not of his stages, to be honest.
Yes. So,
we've been
Aquatic Mine, Knuckles with a water level.
This is the stage where I go off.
Oh boy, alright.
I despise this stage so much.
Okay, I'm glad I'm not the only one who hated it.
Not because I hated playing it that much.
Oh, okay.
I hated it for something that came up later, but I'm going to mention that in the later stage where it's relevant.
Oh, ho, ho, ho.
And the
I know
theme
what you're
of this stage drove me insane. I hate this theme for this stage so much. Those stupid bubbles popping in the background of the theme drove me nuts.
It's not part of the music.
No,
just
those are
sound
those are
effects
ambient stage sounds.
that they spam
Oh.
every half second. I don't know why. Yeah, it
It's-
also drives me nuts.
It's the ports. The ports broke it. It was not as bad in the Dreamcast or even in the GameCube version.
Of
But yes,
course.
the sound effects are all fucked up in the PC version.
Of course they are.
I was about to do war crimes over this.
Well, and the stage itself is not great either, because it's mostly a labyrinth where you have to change and lower the water level like fucking Ocarina of Time's water temple.
Yeah, I got incredibly lucky emerald placement, so I barely had to play this stage.
Unfortunately, I didn't.
So, I have to admit, this is probably Knuckles' weakest stage. It actually reminds me a lot of Skydeck, because you have to constantly backtrack to change the water level just to find the correct way to get into the chamber that the emerald is in. The water doesn't help either. There is a really nifty upgrade, actually, that helps you just completely
A
ignore
secret
drowning.
optional upgrade that lets you breathe underwater permanently.
Oh,
That is what I ended up having some problems with. I didn't need it for this stage, but it bit me a bit later.
Uh-huh.
damn. I don't even think I got that.
It's
Unfortunately,
a
I
bit
didn't.
annoying to navigate, but I mean, it is neat that the water levels interact in interesting ways. I just wish it was a little more clear and you didn't have to backtrack. But if you don't have the annoying sound effects, this is like the most chill of Knuckles' themes. Like I can just drift off listening to this. It's
Yeah,
very good.
I actually love the instrumental version of this theme with no rapping, which is one of the more well-known early Tomoya Otani compositions, which, he's now the music director for the whole series. And he loves his, like, lo-fi chill hop. It's very funny. But yes, Aquatic Mine, little frustrating sometimes.
Lo-fi beats to
Certainly.
chill and find emerald pieces too.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, after this, Sonic says there's too many police around when you don't need them, and Tails has to go on a go-kart mission to find the president of not America. Oh,
And he
also,
didn't even get shot in the process.
and also, Knuckles comes up from the sewers at this
Yeah,
point,
I was
and he
gonna
just
bring that
pulls
up.
on his head.
Was the aquatic ruins in the sewers?
Apparently.
Oh,
I mean, where else
Oh.
would you put it?
I mean, I've seen pictures of the New York City sewers. They seem like they have some ruins.
so yeah.
Like, I honestly
Finally,
think being a sewer is the most logical explanation.
Yeah.
no, it makes sense. I had to find some way to finally tie Knuckles into the main plot. So I
Exactly.
appreciate that. It's funny though, because Knuckles comes up and at one point he's like, "Man, finding the emerald pieces is harder than I thought." Like he's starting to regret his choices finally.
I love the way that he just, he accidentally enters onto the scene, and just immediately Amy decides, alright, you're on our team now.
She starts like grabbing him and he's like, "Ah, what are you doing?" She's like, "No, you're coming along now."
Well,
Like
it's weird,
Knuckles is pretty
'cause-
unwilling for the rest of this.
because he's supposed to say, and in the Japanese version he says, what are you doing, stop it, or whatever. In the English version, she pulls on him and he says, hey, where are you going? What?
It's like
Good old
it's a
localization.
tough job.
Yeah. But yes, Tails has to do a go-kart mission.
Okay, what is the point of this stage? Did this game really need filler?
I mean,
It's to chase down the president. I don't know what you mean, Lauren. This is a vital part of every game.
Oh yes, every game
yes,
needs
every
to
game.
have
my
a
favorite part
go-kart
of
chase
was-
down the president stage.
That you somehow survive without getting shot.
was my favorite part of Breath of the Wild.
Okay,
This
well
is
then
very much the most don't do this at home stage.
I'm gonna come back with that same question during the dark story, and I await your answer there. Then.
Oh, it's gonna be way less positive. Don't worry.
Okay. Yeah, because that version is anyway. This version is very straightforward, actually, but visually. What kind of insane highway is this? Built high in the sky over like the ocean? There are regular streets in this game, but not this one.
This is actually the Ferrari test track
Ah.
that like
Man.
the president likes to test the limo on the Ferrari test track.
Was the president the one driving?
No, we can
No,
see
no,
that
he's too
on
good
the
for
road.
that.
Oh,
But
okay,
he will
gotcha.
sure as hell make his chauffeur do it for his own enjoyment.
Okay, fair enough.
That's a good gag. I was gonna go with in one season of BoJack Horseman. There's this recurring joke plot line where they build a bridge to Hawaii from California, and I was thinking this was something like that.
Hmm.
It's just a highway that goes over the ocean across, to Europe or something. I don't know.
But this part was unironically the most fun I had with Tails.
Yeah, I know a lot of people saying
I can
that-
see that. Yeah.
I've seen a lot of people in the past saying the kart racing isn't very good. I don't know what the hell they were talking about. I had a lot of fun with it.
It's nothing too complex. It's no Mario
No.
Kart, so to speak, but it's not
I mean,
like
I don't think it's very good. I just hated the rest of Tails' playthrough so much that this was my favorite part.
I mean, fair enough.
Yeah,
That's
it's
a totally. Maybe that was my problem. I just hated the rest of Tails' gameplay.
I will say, when you play this in a casual playthrough, whatever, man. But some psychotic designer decided, yes, what shall we use for the other missions in the kart racing? You can't, like, what do you do in the kart race? I know. Don't hit the cars. Don't hit the walls.
don't hit the walls is the worst.
And I'm glad I don't
These
care.
are literally some of the worst missions to get A rank on. It is so tight. It's ridiculous.
Well, and like the problem with don't hit the cars is the cars will hit you sometimes.
Yeah, you can just be going along, everything's perfect, and that car will come in nowhere
it'll
from
just-
behind you. And
Yeah,
you're
it'll just
dead.
like ram into you because it wants to fight, even though your car better in a fight than their car, statistically speaking.
It wants the reward money.
That's true.
Oh yeah.
They did put out a big bag for Tails' head.
I like how Eggman addresses the president here with like this mock level of respect. He still calls him Mr. President. And then he's like, I know you're a very busy man, so I won't bore you with the details. Surrender everything or I'll kill you.
Yeah,
You gotta respect the hustle, man.
it's badass. When I love Sonic and
Eggman
Tails.
knows that threatening the president is badass.
Yeah.
I love Sonic and Tails too because Eggman shows mock respect for the president. Sonic and Tails show no respect for him. They break into his limo, steal the recording of his conversation, and then just leave. They say, "Hey, don't worry, bye."
Yeah.
You
Well,
know,
they know that
that's
time
about
is of
right.
the
No, the
essence.
president can't stop them. Like, the
That's
president has
also
long
true.
legs, but the president cannot run that fast. Even
Not
if this president is the pointiest man I've ever seen.
the Dreamcast human
yeah.
models are super friggin' weird looking.
Oh, I forgot to mention the blonde child from the cutscene that Robotnik blows up the moon in.
It's early CG. Everybody knows that it looks jank.
The pre-rendered ones almost look worse,
They
confusingly.
really do.
Yeah.
Look like what's the Sid from Toy Story? Is that the weird?
Yeah.
Like I think most of the other people in that movie look fine, but for some reason that kid just looks off.
Yeah.
I
Um,
do like the before this cutscene is over. There's a quick cut where the president's secretary is like, "Oh, we're getting a call from our agent," and then it just cuts off abruptly.
Which, side note, best unlockable theme?
Yes, I was trying to think about how to mention that, and then you did it for me.
Yes, this game has menu themes that you can unlock, and it's normally based around, Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, Amy, Eggman, Rouge, Shadow, etc. There's unlockable ones, though. I think there's one for Tikal, there's one for Maria, and there's one, paradoxically, for the President's Secretary.
Yup.
Oh,
Did someone
She's
on
the real
staff have a
protagonist.
waifu?
I don't know. I would not have given this character a second thought if it wasn't for that theme. I'll say it made for a somewhat memorable character because of that.
When you unlock it by pressing up and down a bunch on the selection screen, it's like a fucking Luigi and Mario 64 bullshit.
Yeah.
Anyway, so after this whole thing, we follow a pretty standard line of progression from away from Prison Island to Mission Street to the highway to the president's limo, and then we just end up in the desert.
Yep, here we are again, jump cutting
We're in
through
Egypt.
different areas. I don't know that it's Egypt, but it looks
there's
like it.
pyramids.
It has pyramids, yeah.
Well, Eggman
It's
could have
Egypt
made those.
too.
Yeah, but Eggman
It's the
is
sequel.
set up here in the desert, and we have a secret base, which is an okay Tails level. I don't like the quicksand, but it's not functionally different from a bottomless pit.
Why?
Yeah,
But it
why?
feels worse.
Why do all the ruins have Robotnik faces?
Oh,
Because Robotnik put them there.
Yeah, he bastardizes anywhere he sets up shop. I think that there's some
Oh.
parts of these ruins where you can see that they have echidna faces, so he just puts his face on them.
I love
interesting.
that.
Yeah, you gotta decorate when you're taking over historical landmarks.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly. The total lack of respect is on point.
It's really charming colonialism.
I mean, I
Eggman
wouldn't
truly
really
was
call
just
it
born in
that,
the wrong time.
But
Yeah.
speaking of Eggman, I like that this is the first stage actually that you can actually encounter Eggman's badniks that have animals inside of them, which is like, whoa, I didn't expect that in this game. Like,
Well,
that's
The first
surprising
time I
all of a
encountered
sudden.
that in the game, it was so weird to me as a kid. Because I didn't play Sonic Adventure 1 before Sonic Adventure 2.
oh, so you just didn't have context.
No, I was like, why the hell would there be robots and animals? We all know the chaos drives in robots.
I mean,
Oh.
I had heard that animals were in Eggman robots, but I similarly played this before Sonic Adventure, so it was still very strange.
You played Sonic
I mean,
Advance
this was
before,
basically my first Sonic game. It was one of my first games, period.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I like that. I like the distinguishing between the government robots that use some sort of, whatever power, and the badniks, which use, other things. I think that it would be nice if they also made it that, like, badniks were more powerful, and which, I mean, technically, that is textually true, because Eggman is stronger than the government, but... It's
Okay, but I like the
interesting-
idea that Eggman uses animals to power them, not because it's better, but because he can and he's sick and twisted.
That's
I mean,
also good.
that is the way I always interpreted it.
Well, maybe Chaos Drives are more expensive. That would be a good middle ground.
Oh yeah, he is broke.
Oh yeah, of course.
That's why he's repurposing ancient ruins for a base.
Yeah.
That's true.
To build a new base.
They can't charge you rent if you take over a pyramid.
Yeah. The stage itself, though, it's definitely a lot better than Mission Street, I think. It's a tail stage, but it's fine, I suppose.
There's a lot of having to shoot, like, the canisters to turn them into platforms. It feels a little repetitive, but it's one of the
Yeah.
better tail stages, I'd say.
Yep, low bar cleared, I agree.
Yeah. Well, and then it's immediately sidelined by the next stage, because Pyramid Cave is fun, mostly.
I'm kind of puzzled as to why Knuckles is with the gang now. Like, perhaps it literally is just Amy grabbed them and now they're just stuck here. But it seems, have they like changed their character since the first game? Because in the first game, they really didn't give a care about the world being in threat. He only
Here's-
cares about the Master Emerald and nothing else. He's laser focused.
Before they enter Pyramid Cave, Knuckles says that he's heard that Rouge was working with Eggman, and he thinks that she probably has emerald pieces.
Did I literally miss that?
No, because here's the thing. Here's the thing. In the Japanese version, Knuckles says, I heard that Eggman. I know that Eggman's here, and I know that Rouge is working with him, or something like that. In the English version, it says that Batgirl went in there. You saw it too, right? And Amy's like, yes, and it's like, no, you didn't. What are you talking about? So it's a really confusing line. So I wouldn't blame you if you missed it.
That makes sense. Rouge practically disappears from the hero story until like the very end.
Yeah.
So I didn't even know she was mentioned. That's funny. But all that aside,
It's frankly, there's not a ton to say about Pyramid Cave because I think it's probably the most linear stage that Sonic has in this game.
But we get to test Sonic's viability as a basketball, and that's a good thing for research purposes.
Oh yeah, yeah. So you get the bounce bracelet, which is it's good for reaching higher platforms. I don't use it for anything else though.
Well, except for fast routes on bosses on second attempts,
Oh
apparently.
yeah.
oh, you're talking about the bounce bracelet. I always thought you were talking about how you can chuck the keys, and if you're just that good, it can land and then activate the
No,
switches.
not Sonic's viability
You're
at
talking
playing
about
basketball.
as the
Sonic's viability
basketball.
as the basketball.
Oh.
When the key finding sequences are some of the weirder ones because, like, you have to go grab the key, but there's like the ghosts will grab you, and there's also E1000 units which use Gamma's design, which
Makes me
is
sad.
yeah. I mean, it's kind of neat. I like that Eggman was like, oh, this robot did this. I guess I'll use that for something else.
It's very fitting. It's just a gut punch.
But when
Yeah.
you're holding the key, you can break robots by throwing the key at them, and you
Right.
can flip over the hourglasses by just jumping into them, which you can't do normally. It's weird.
Yeah, the key sections are puzzling. I don't know why they put them there. It's really out of place.
It kind of breaks the flow, yeah.
Kind of reminds me of Lost World. Not quite as egregious, I think, because Lost World is much slower paced. But this one seems to not understand what it's trying to go for. It's mostly speedy, but then there's those key sections for some reason.
Yeah, I do
Um,
like the big curved hallways that like loop in on themselves. Those feel really good to like spin dash through.
Totally.
But yeah, it's all right. Not my favorite, but it's all right.
Yeah, it's a very okay stage.
But after this, we get this big locked door that we can't get into that I guess Eggman is behind. I don't know how the geometry of this base works out, but whatever. And Knuckles, treasure hunter that he is, I'm not, it's like they didn't really bring that up at all in SA1 other than the fact that you did hunting. So Sonic says, "Oh, he's the greatest treasure hunter." And, if you're not explicitly familiar with the way that Sega's referred to the characters, you're like, "What?" But yes, Knuckles has to find keys to get through the big door, and he has to do it in Death Chamber, which is my favorite name for a level.
Death chamber, death chamber, death chamber.
Good music, too.
Yes. The characters before entering said they were actually looking for a spaceship. That's what is beyond the doors. So, but as for the stage, yes, I appreciate this one for all the same reasons other stages, but it gets bonus points because obviously a lot of the time, and even here, but it feels less so. There's stage first and then a place second, but it's Eggman's base, right? So now it actually feels like an interconnected sort of a base to explore around. There's even like maps on the walls. It really
Which
really
you
sells
will
it pretty
need.
well. Yes, and you'll need the maps.
Yes.
It's very helpful. But I like you can run around and there's like a central chamber with like some sort of, I assume it's like a generator maybe or something. There's lots of pistons going around. But it's neat to be able to run through here. And let's see.
I'm just waiting for the other shoe to drop.
It's interesting how it's like a similar sort of a place with Pyramid Cave, but simply because of the different gameplay, it feels different. There are still ghosts, but in Knuckles' there are some really big ghosts with these super blank expressions.
I do like that. That's all very good praise. I fucking hate this level. I'm gonna be honest.
Oh yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I despise this level.
Yeah.
It's just
I
it's
found it
repetitive.
thoroughly unenjoyable.
The geometry is so similar that it's confusing. You know, and that's why I was saying you need the map. It's like I
Yeah,
think
most of
all
my
the things
notes
you're
are
saying
on
true.
how often I felt lost
But you get
in this
lost so
level.
easily,
Yes.
and the fact that it has you dig through walls to get to different little alcoves.
I neat
I
concept.
couldn't figure
Hate
that out.
I felt.
I couldn't figure that out for like 15 minutes of playing this level.
Yeah, so it's like praises be praises, but like, ugh.
I'm sorry, but it's very difficult not to enjoy a knuckle stage in this game for me.
I'm
It's
not
a weakness
blaming
of
you. It's
mine.
like you can have whatever opinions you
I mean,
want. It's just
yeah.
like I felt this like
I'm just here to be negative.
I felt a build up
Somebody
in
has to be.
like the back of my head, and I could feel like this humming vibration coming off of Bruce and Sid because I thought they probably felt pretty similar. Um, this level does have one big thing I like though, which is that Knuckles gets the hammer gloves, which lets him break metal boxes but make his giant hands even gianter.
Yes.
I don't know how he's carrying so much crap on his hands at this point.
We
But
need more. We need more hand accessories for Knuckles in this game.
yeah, so Death Chamber is Death Chamber. It's deathly and it is a chamber, so I guess it's accurate.
Yeah.
And speaking of which, you know, you're saying we got the ghosts in there and we got the ghosts in the other desert levels. Here's a giant one.
I fucking
Yeah.
hated this fight.
Um,
King Boom
I actually enjoyed this fight quite a
Boom
bit.
King Boo, I think it's called.
I thought it was King
Boom
Boom
Boo.
Boo.
King Boom Boo, okay. Straight up just a Mario name for these very Mario-ish looking ghosts.
Yeah.
Yep.
This is the most random boss in the whole game. Although I suppose it fits because
That's
Knuckles
true.
is just here, so it's a completely random boss too. Sure. The music goes hard though.
I actually enjoyed this fight quite a bit, but I think a lot of that was how down I was on literally every other boss up to this point.
The cool thing about King Boom Boo is, you know, he has this whole cycle where he chases you and then he shoots fire and you hit the hourglass to expose him. And you can hit him multiple times per cycle after you dig him out of the ground or the wall or whatever. You just have
And?
to be really fast. Yeah, you have to run along the inside of the central pillar.
You
Oh,
have
so
to
I'm-
be ultra precise.
So I'm
I've
just
seen
bad.
people do it. I've tried to do it. I have never ever pulled it off. It is
Okay.
obviously not
Okay.
intended.
Well, I
Um,
feel better about not being able to do it then.
No,
Uh,
usually you have to four cycle him. I have two cycled him exactly once.
Yeah, I despise this fight.
Aesthetically, he's kind of silly. He sounds ridiculous,
That's
but
true.
it does not distract me from how dull it is. We're back to the worst of 3D Sonic bosses right here. It's incredibly formulaic, and you're just waiting. I don't even understand why they make you wait out the whole hourglass if they clearly only wanted you to hit him once. The fight just wastes your time at every turn.
I didn't think it was that bad, but I
Yeah.
get your complaints, definitely. And weirdly, we go from a boss fight to another boss fight. Because after this, we get a Sonic boss with the Egg Golem. And I want to be clear here that this is not an Eggman robot. He just found this thing and attached a unit to control it, and it just works.
Sounds about right.
As you do.
I do appreciate there's at least one Eggman boss in this game. It's weird, well, aside from Eggman himself, it doesn't count. Because this game's kind of mixing things up a lot. And so it's a little bit of a return to familiarity that way. It's funny, though. The introduction is just Egg Golem, the Golem.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's all it is.
Mhm.
I love the animations on this guy because, you know, he takes his arms up to smash you, but as you jump on the platforms in his back and homing attack up to hit him in the head, you know, he gets further and further damaged, and I love his one attack where he just puts his hand and then slams his head on the ground. It looks like he's going, damn it, damn it, damn it! It's great.
Yeah, this was another one of the bosses that I was actually very big on the fight. I enjoyed it quite a bit.
It's pretty good. I wouldn't say it's fantastic. I do like how, as it's smashing down the platforms, at first you're just like, what are you doing? But then it actually becomes a problem later when it uses a spin attack, and you're like, oh, now this makes it annoying to dodge. But I don't understand why this boss is raised up, and then below there's just sand that is trivial to escape from, and then the boss just patiently waits for you to come back. I mean, I prefer that over just dying instantly, but maybe just don't make the boss in the air then in the first place?
I mean,
I think it was
I
just
guess.
like to show that it was large. I don't think it was for any mechanical reason.
You could have just had like a horizontal platform in front of it and it's in the background that you can't fall off of. Like plenty of games do
You
that.
just have invisible walls, yeah.
Or just invisible walls. That's true too. It
I
just
guess
breaks up
I
the
get the
pace whenever you
criticism.
fall down. I'm just like, oh, okay, great.
I don't
The
fall
boss
down very
literally
much.
waits for you. Okay, well, good for you.
I'm better than you, which means your criticism is wrong.
It's very annoying trying to jump on his platforms on the backside of him.
I think that when he's bent down and they're angled, definitely. Or the fact that he can move while you're trying to do it, yeah.
Right, well, that's the thing. Also, for some reason, sometimes it's not the homing attack by and large is better in this game, but I have trouble doing the last 3 hits where you have to homing attack on them sometimes. But you can certainly do worse.
Yeah. So, yeah, you were right about that thing about the space, the rocket earlier, which Eggman just has. He uses a teleporter to get onto the Ark normally, so what is this thing for? I don't know.
Backup.
I guess. And so they just steal Eggman's rocket to go up to the Ark and just smack into a space rock by like a bunch of idiots and lose the Master Emerald pieces so that Knuckles tries to grab control of the ship and crashes them all into it and then just runs off.
The writers are really stretching Knuckles' inclusion here, aren't they? This is such a
Yeah.
silly cutscene, and the way it plays out too, with the voice lines, just like, "Oh, hey, we're going in space. Oh, wow, bam, we hit a rock. Well, it's okay, we didn't lose anything important." And then Knuckles is like, "What? Those are the Master Emerald pieces." There was like, "What?" It's just so over the top and silly. It's a lot different than the other cutscenes.
Yeah, it's a little bit cringe. It's really funny, but not because it's good. It's kind of bad.
I wouldn't expect Sonic to be that callous. I feel
No,
like
that doesn't seem like him.
it's out of character.
So everyone boards the Ark, and Tails is like, "Yeah, this was an amazing achievement, the first of its kind. The first, okay, this is a real scientific concept called a Bernal sphere, but the dub
Yes.
mistranslates this as Bernoulli."
Amazing.
Great. Brilliant.
But yeah, so they missed that. They did manage to bring across that it was shut down after some sort of horrible accident.
I like that at this point they start including the canon countdown between the cutscenes, building up the tension little bit by bit.
Yeah. And we see that thing that I was talking about all the way back in Sat AM, that Tails made a fake Chaos Emerald to destroy the space laser. And
Okay. So, how did Tails make a Chaos Emerald?
He's a genius. Don't question it.
Okay. No. That's bullshit.
What do you
These are
mean?
like mystical. They are basically magic.
So he used magical science.
So
Also, it has all the same properties of an emerald. So, wouldn't that just make it a new Chaos Emerald?
well,
he
he says
says
it's
it's less powerful than the original.
so I think of it as the Chaos Emeralds are like magic overflowing batteries, whereas the fake one is like a limited, like a regular battery.
It's so stupid.
Listen, he took some cardboard, he painted it yellow, he glued it together in the shape of an emerald.
I would have liked that more than him saying, "Oh yeah, this can be basically used as a replacement for a Chaos Emerald. It's just weaker." Been like, "Oh yeah, this thing is literally just fake. It's super glued together pieces of glass."
I inferred that it wasn't anything more than just a trick because I thought it was simply some sort of material that has well, as you said, it has all the same properties. Probably an exaggeration because
So
it
maybe
says even a
some
machine can't
other
tell
kind
the
of
difference,
gemstone that
which
he...
is really then if a machine can't tell. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what he means by that. But I thought it was just good enough to trick you, basically, and I didn't read into it too much.
The Mythbusters
Well,
proved that
actually-
you can basically make diamonds in a microwave, so it's like, I can believe some things.
You know what? I take it all back. I just remembered a scene later. No, I'm with you, Bruce. This is
Okay.
ridiculous because
Thank you.
it literally has a use exclusive to the Chaos Emeralds that they use later. Yeah, no, never mind. This is absurd. But I will say, I do like that Tails is actually coming up with a cool plan, even if he can just pull a Chaos Emerald out of nowhere. Being like, aha, we'll switch this with one of the Chaos Emeralds, and then we'll use it to destroy the station. Yes, Tails being smart and a force unto his own. More than that, though, what bugs me is that they're just totally discounting Amy. She's literally just a joke at this point. She came along, but everyone's like, all right, I got this role, let's go team. And Amy's like, what about me? Like, literally, they're ignoring her as much as the writers are.
Yeah, she says that they're leaving her behind to have all the fun, but in fairness, The next stage is Eternal Engine, which is the opposite of fun.
Well,
Mm.
true.
But yes, Amy is done dirty for most of this plot.
So, as annoying as it can be, I actually like the gimmick of you don't want to target the bombs that are going to blow up the platforms or the doors that open out into space, because you have to be careful.
I would like that gimmick, but I just wanted to get through this fast, and that meant I was constantly targeting them.
Eternal
Well,
Engine
then
is
you played
fucking
it wrong.
long.
I'm so sorry.
I mean, yeah, I did.
I think there's a lot of interesting ideas on here because the dynamite traps are but Tails' mobility is just it feels like a struggle every time you're faced with something like that. Just because the mechs they don't turn very well. You can only really run in a straight line. Okay.
Yeah, whoever decided, oh no, they have to slowly wheel around when you try to change opposite directions. No. Not good.
Yeah. And this level also introduces us to artificial chaos, the nastiest enemies in maybe any Sonic game.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
I hate them so much.
Man, I didn't have that much trouble with any of the artificial chaoses.
You must have gotten lucky. These buggers. Okay, so there are a few different types. Two of them are fine. One of them is very much not fine. There's one that just shoots lasers over and over. One that splits into a million pieces. It's a little annoying. But then there's the stretchy arm variety. Man,
Yep.
it can stretch those arms. It can stretch those arms so far that it can hit you and you didn't even know it was there. Just completely
can-
off screen.
Fucking blindside you from behind a door twice.
Yes,
Yeah.
even through
Yeah.
walls.
Yep.
You will die your first time in this stage, and probably more after that too. And what's worse about the artificial chaos, is, especially the tentacle ones, is that they have nigh impenetrable defenses. Where if you shoot them with a regular blast, you have to wait for them to come out of their shell before you can actually target them.
Right.
Yeah, the only way I could consistently deal with them is by like taking damage and just killing them while I had already taken damage.
Yeah, I don't know how you're supposed to dodge them. Well, I do. It's by doing the stage over and 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 over, because that's what it takes to get those A ranks. I like the chaos reference. I will say they're interesting enemies aesthetically. It adds to the variety. They certainly play differently, but man, not fair.
Yeah, and well, and just the rest of the stage is just it makes things rough, because you also have the like radiation capsules that do a huge explosion that can damage you if you hit them, and friggin' the flying beetles will just hit you from off screen again, especially the ones that can shoot. And the stage ends with a giant skydiving section, which is way more perilous with Tails than it was with Gamma because he falls so much faster, and there's giant lasers throughout the whole thing.
I actually like that part. I think it's one of the more well, you can see what's coming. It's like the opposite of what most of the stage is, so you can plan it out and be careful. That's what you're supposed to
It's
do.
the stiff control.
Yeah, well,
for
I
me.
didn't like the part, so you're wrong.
Hey, then.
Well,
I'm
now
not
we know
saying
the
it's
objective
amazing. I'm
answer.
saying it's amazing relative to the rest of the stage.
Yeah, it's
Amazing
It's rough.
relative to the rest of Tails' gameplay.
I don't think I'm
Maybe.
ever gonna get an A rank on that stage.
I mean, it gives you plenty of combos. This is one of the. I'm trying to think. I think
it's
maybe
not a problem
Tails
of
is
not having
only-
enough combos. It's a problem of getting friggin' blasted in the ass.
No, I just am saying that this is one of the few times in the game that you get to see the perfect rank in flashy rainbow coloration, which, yes, good.
Well, in any case, Knuckles has Meteor Herd after this, which is really, really big. It's really
Yeah.
like tall
I
vertically.
hate Meteor Herd so much.
Yeah, I really struggled with this one.
Guys, sorry, I'm gonna have to dial back a second. We skipped over the cutscene that just has a great ending point. Again, Sonic approaches the Eclipse Cannon, and he's about to put the Chaos Emerald in, and then Tails gives him a call and frantically says he has to come back, and then we cut to Knuckles just doing his own thing in Meteor Herd. It's just beautiful. They finally make use of the random cut in a good way.
I literally forgot that cutscene was there. That's why I skipped over it.
I think I still forgot that cutscene was there, and I was just told about it.
But Meteor Herd, I have one problem with it, which are the meteors
Is it
that
being
come
s-
out of
yeah,
the sky and
Getting
snipe you.
smited by the heavens constantly. God throwing stones at you because he hates you and you in particular constantly.
I kept getting sniped. It was
Knuckles
so
being punished
fucking
for the sins of the
annoying.
father.
Oh no.
And Locke has a
Father in
lot of sins to offer, so.
the sins of the father in a different universe.
It was
Well,
just
see,
that
Locke had
bad.
so many sins that they needed to punish multiple versions of Knuckles.
You know what? I can believe that.
I'll take it. Anything to make me laugh and lessen the pain just a little bit.
Fucking meteors, man.
Yeah,
I
the
hated getting
meteors are
sniped.
just dumb. I don't even know how you're supposed to dodge them. Just
I would have
sometimes.
hated the stage without them, and then they're
Well-
there.
Well, I was about to say, I have no problem with the stage. I think it's great. You know, it's space. It's big. There's lots of stuff to see.
Well, but it doesn't
Yeah.
need to be empty. It doesn't need to have, like, a solid
space.
30-second fall from the bottom to the top.
There's space in space. Did you know that? That's how space works.
No,
Well,
I
then
didn't.
they should have expanded your radar. I don't know.
You know,
Counterpoint
I
space is
honestly
dumb.
will say probably the radar. Yeah, it could have been bigger, and still it wouldn't have felt overpowered. Yeah,
This is the only stage where I found an emerald before it came up on my radar.
yeah. I can't
I
believe you
know-
can do that. It's so
Or-
weird.
Well, I also
I
noticed
just
the radars-
wandered into a fucking emerald in one of the like floating cargo containers, and I was like, "Huh, neat."
I don't know. I just like that you start on the ground in a meteor, and then you get to use a rocket, and then you just go up into space, and then there's the arc, and you can climb on the arc, and it just feels like a cool place.
Well, it's great
that-
conceptually. That's what we're saying about all of these.
Yeah,
But
sure.
it's just, we don't have a lot of fun playing them.
Yeah.
Well, sorry.
Sorry. It's alright. It'll be okay. So anyway, Rouge is here.
Yeah, suddenly.
Yeah, they're like long time no see. Yeah, it really has been a while. As I said, I completely missed that voice line. I thought Rouge just disappeared completely from the hero story, and then until the writers were like, oh wait, shoot, there was supposed to be like a dynamic between Knuckles and Rouge or something. Better bring her in because we just
For
did
their-
Knuckles' last stage.
Their final scene together in the story, yeah. And yeah, it's just she shows up and she's like, "Fight me for the emerald pieces." And well, it's a character battle, and
It's not just a character battle; it is the jankiest character battle I've played in my
God.
goddamn life.
Thank God.
Yeah, I'm
even
not a
sure
fan
how
either.
I beat this fight because I wasn't even sure what was going on for probably 90% of it.
so you fight her on the ground to start with, and there's nothing all that complex about it. You know, you'll bounce off each other like Adventure 1 if you're both attacking. But then after, I don't know, 5 seconds, the ground opens up and this like heat wave blasts you up onto the rafters, which feels
Yeah.
like a completely terrible setting for any kind of fight.
Yeah,
Well, obviously.
And
it's
then
the one problem with combat to the death, the hide and seek aspect.
the entire fight becomes based around trying to figure out where the hell Rouge went.
Yeah.
Yep.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Which honestly kind of makes you feel like the bad guy when you're chasing this person down and then just beating them every time you find them.
Well, that's why.
Well,
that's
I
why.
Like, she's
mean-
just trying to hide.
I
If
mean,
you're
she
a-
uses chaos moves and snipes you from afar if you just aren't close enough. So I don't feel that bad. But
Yeah, she has her special attack that like hits you if you're not moving. It's called Black Wave, but she just says Blick Wave when she uses it.
She's a really big fan of entry-level pens.
But yeah, this is much less of a fight, and as you said, hide and seek, and also like herd the sheep, because if Rouge is just floating around in the air, you can't hit her. There's no way.
Yeah.
So you have to be like, all right, come over here to this platform.
Uh.
I will be very nice. I will not hit you. Okay, now I will hit you. Like
Yeah,
that's the
sit
fight.
down so I can beat you into submission.
And what's crazy is if you were aggressive enough at the start of this battle and you just spam the fuck out of the drill dive, you can actually beat her before the ground even opens up. It's just
I
really
believe
annoying.
it. Speedrunners are crazy, but that
Yeah.
doesn't
I've done it. It's not a
mean
speed
that
run.
most people.
You bitch. No, I'm sorry.
Just so you know.
Yes, Devin,
when
you're
I
at the
say-
completely normal like skill level of a Sonic fan.
Yeah.
You essentially speed ran the boss fight by
I'm-
doing that.
I
And yeah, no,
I
that's
know.
not in the intended design. So
I know that I'm being ridiculous. I trust you understand this.
I trust you understand. I must respond seriously nonetheless.
Yeah, I guess. Why is it always
this
in
is
Knuckles
Lauren's
boss
thing.
fights where we do this? Yeah, so janky character battle. Bad.
At
Yeah.
least it's not pathetically easy, but
I'd almost prefer pathetically easy because this is just
yeah,
annoying.
it's not very good. Honestly, the other final rival fights, which also there's only one fight between Knuckles and Rouge. Now that I think about it, that's weird.
Yeah.
But the other
Um,
final ones I think are better.
In some respects, yeah.
I'm not saying they're perfect.
So after this, Rouge is like they're both like they do the crossover thing where it ends in a tie no matter who you're playing, but they're both like breathing heavily, and then Rouge takes a step toward Knuckles, completely doesn't look where she's going, almost falls off and almost dies, but Knuckles saves her.
And then there's 11th hour strip teasing when she's like, don't touch me. And he's like, well, I would never do that. I'm just saving your life, you ungrateful bugger. And then she smiles and then runs away
Yeah, he's
after
like, I'm
giving him
sorry
all
if I
pieces
hurt.
back.
I've never liked Knuckles and Rouge as a ship. I don't feel like they have chemistry.
I wouldn't have brought it
Yeah.
up if it wasn't for the fact that my young, like, what was it? She was probably like 6 or 7 at the time, year old sister wrote a little comic shipping these two together.
Oh,
On the one hand, I disagree with it, but on the other hand, that's adorable. So,
that is
It
adorable.
was kind of cute.
but hey, that we're done with Knuckles. We're done with Knuckles.
Thank God.
Now we can move on to Crazy Gadget, which is much more fun. Oh God,
Oh, why? Never mind. I'd rather go back to Knuckles, I think.
this
I
is
hated Crazy Gadget.
the lost
Uh,
world of this game.
I feel so vindicated. I was so worried that people are going to like the stages I fucking despised.
Yeah, so this level is all about flipping switches to walk on walls.
This level caused me physical pain, not just psychological pain.
It's tough. There's a lot of annoying things to get past.
And like it just so many of its mechanics just feel like they don't work.
Yes. Oh my God. Thank
Like
you.
they didn't have the technology. They had the ideas, but they didn't have the technology, and they refused to admit they didn't have the technology, so they fucking did it anyway.
Oh my God, thank you so much. This was probably, I say this fully seriously, that Crazy Gadget was probably the most frustrating video game stage I have ever played.
Wow.
Crazy Gadget is sick. Y'all are just bad. What are you talking about? That's
That's
actually
not-
just a reference to a video, by the way.
We
Um,
just got skill issued, Bruce.
I was
Um,
about to have an actual fucking psychotic moment with you saying that.
No, I do actually like the stage, but I didn't mean that.
You're wrong and
Um,
should feel bad.
I think the gravity switching, yes, it makes it hard to control, but it also makes it a very unique stage.
But the
Um,
gravity switching doesn't work half of the time.
I
And
mean, I don't know
unique
what you're
isn't
talking
necessarily
about.
good.
It works. What do you mean?
The camera
how-
doesn't follow you, which makes
That is
controlling
the
it a
biggest-
nightmare.
That's what I mean when I say it doesn't work.
Well,
It's
the
I think
camera is a problem a lot of the time in
Well,
this
yes,
game.
that is very
Yes,
true.
and this makes it worse.
It really does.
I just like all the craziness in Crazy Gadget, that happens. Like, I enjoy, for instance, when you're on like a grind rail and then you grind down and suddenly the gravity switches. And honestly, it's not utilized all that much until the very end of the stage, which, as much trouble as it gave me the first time, I really like the huge open-ended block room because it just feels like a puzzle to explore. You're not quite sure which way to go, and you have to use the gravity intelligently to navigate it.
That room gave me a headache, and I had to watch someone else go through it, so I understood what the fuck I was doing.
I had the same problem also.
it is not conducive, is it?
I
It's like,
wanted to slam my head through my monitor.
I don't struggle a ton with this stage here as an adult who's played this game a lot, but it's like I understand that people will get to this point in the game and be like, "What the fuck is this?" So it's like, I don't want to be too harsh, but also it's okay.
Additionally, aside from the stage itself, I really enjoy that Eggman is just taunting you throughout this whole stage, telling
is funny.
Sonic, of all people,
Okay,
to
well,
hurry up.
That
As
would
someone who sucked, that made it so much worse for me.
actually, yeah. If
I
I
took
had
my
been
headphones off
the
to actually beat the stage.
I'm surprised.
Fucking headphones off.
I
I'm
should have
not even
done that.
kidding.
I should have done that. That would have made it a lot more bearable. Because Eggman taunting me made me actually angry.
I want to point
Eggman
out
was in my head, man. He got to me.
I was
wanna
about to
point
say,
out-
he did his job pretty well then.
He did
He
do
read
his
me
job
like a
well.
fucking book.
But
Holy
it ma-
shit.
This,
I've never been so hard read by pre-recorded lines before.
this stage, I think my dad started getting concerned from how much I was how angry I was getting, which I want to follow that up with. I don't normally get super angry at games. I occasionally do, usually in situations like this fucking Crazy Gadgets. I was so angry that I considered Well, I was going to say I considered asking to postpone the episode because I'd need a few days to cool off. I didn't actually consider that. I don't know why I was going to say that.
Because Sid got sick and we postponed recording anyway.
Well, yeah, but I just honestly that was probably the best thing that could have happened for me because I really needed some time to get my thoughts together about this game.
I'm glad my suffering panned out for you.
Thank you very much.
Well, I mean, I think I understand where you're coming from because this stage gave me a lot of trouble when I did first play it. But I don't know, I can't be too hard on it because everyone's like, "Oh, this is the be-all end-all worst stage of this game," and I don't really think so.
I didn't
Honestly,
say
I
it was
think
the
it's
worst stage of
I
the game.
think it's the worst stage.
Worst Sonic stage.
That's true.
That one I definitely agree with.
I disagree with that actually.
Maybe.
But I'm not going to be negative about the stage that I said is. We'll get there in a second. But I think it's interesting. It's it doesn't function correctly all the time. Neither does this game, if you haven't noticed.
That's true.
So that's that's baseline. That I just expect that of any stage. I don't know. I think it's interesting. It's fun, in my opinion. Change of pace, even if it is, yes, quite difficult.
We're gonna kill each other if we stay on this too long. I think we need to move on.
I'm gonna
So-
kill Sonic.
Well,
Oh.
you're in luck because this next cutscene is awesome, where Sonic tries to outsmart Eggman by handing over the fake emerald, but Eggman absolutely bodies everyone by trapping Sonic in a capsule, launching him into space. And Tails is like, "Wait, how did you know that was the real one?" And Eggman hits him with the "because you just told me, fucks boy."
The biggest fumble in Tails history.
That was hilarious. I think it would have been more funny if I hadn't have just played Crazy Gadget beforehand.
Also, I love Sonic being like, Tails, why the fuck did you do that? Like, I love the instant disappointment from Sonic.
And that's the
He's
last thing,
God
from
damn
Tails'
it.
perspective, that's the last thing Sonic ever says to him.
The like implication that Sonic taught Tails to be better at lying than this, and that he's disappointed with him.
There's a really touching moment, actually, that is Sonic's final moment. Eggman
Yeah,
traps him, and then he's like, "I got you, finally, you stupid blue hedgehog." But he gives him a moment, and it's actually very nice, because in his final moments, Sonic doesn't get panicked or angry. He just gives words of reassurance to Tails, saying they're counting on them, and then they sweetly tell Amy to take care of themselves. That's actually how they go out.
Yeah, Sonic basically
Yeah.
told Tails that he's Goku now.
Yeah.
Yes, it
Pretty
is
much.
literally the fucking Dragon Ball Z passing the torch to Gohan moment.
Basically. I do kind of like that. But,
No, I like it too, and I just think it's funnier for Sonic to be like, why the fuck did you do that? And that's his final word.
you dumbass Tails, then suddenly dies.
But no, it is
I
a good
mean,
moment, and it
yeah,
motivates Tails to fight harder against Eggman.
Yeah.
A lot of the scenes in this game are, a little. They've got weird, warbles to them, whether that be in the animation or the voice delivery. It still isn't perfect, but I get into this one. I think it's honestly
It is a pretty
done
good
quite
scene.
well. As I said before, I was annoyed that that Amy was just here for no reason, and to be honest, this is still a bit of a sad reason for her to be here. But on the other hand, Eggman turning to a hostage situation is like really surprising. He doesn't really play that way most of the time.
Yeah, he
must
joined
be-
the big leagues.
He must be seriously
Yeah.
desperate to be freaking pointing a gun at Amy's head. Like, he has a gun. What the heck? Where
Yeah,
did that
he
come from?
Bro
And-
just pulled out a gun.
And Sonic he brings that up. He's like, "You've turned into a big time villain, Doctor." Which fucking Ryan Drummond sounds so goddamn smug when he says that. My God.
Yep.
It's great because Sonic completely misreads him. He thinks, oh no, Eggman, pff, he's just Eggman. But no, Eggman has like taken a turn for the worse in this game. He is
Oh, yeah,
plotting
this
to
is an
like
Eggman
blow
that
up the
reached
world,
his limit.
so yeah. But Sonic has not caught on to that. It's a little surprising, perhaps, that he could get caught in a capsule like that. But I feel like it's because his guard was completely down. He wasn't expecting anything.
Oh yeah, I think he was just like assuming Eggman would do typical Eggman stuff, and that is what caused him to get caught there.
So yeah, honestly, excellent scene.
And then there's the next scene, which I'm sure is the one that you were annoyed about, wherein Sonic is in a capsule that is being fired toward the Earth that will kill him, And then, see, for me, it was never so much that it was the fake emerald, but the fact that Sonic can apparently just do chaos control.
Well, yeah,
I
he
don't.
Giorno Giovanni it, and he had the
Yeah,
fake piss rock. Like that's the
Piss
two
rock.
component.
Exactly. He saw someone doing. He's like, all right, I can do this shit. And then he had a rock that it is a chaos emerald. I don't care what any of you people say.
No, I
It
agree
is
with you now.
Tails made a new Chaos Emerald.
Uh-huh.
That means Sonic now needs more emeralds to go super.
That's not how that works.
I don't care. That's how it
You
works
read
now.
the comics, you just
They,
need
they,
7 of
they
them.
share a
even if there
color,
are
so
more.
it, like you need one or the other.
Fair enough. Okay. Wait, I feel like this
You
one's
can have
a
both and
slightly
have it count
darker
toward the
shade
7 because they're the same color.
Well,
I think this one's
Well,
a
that was color.
slightly darker shade of yellow. This is the
If
true
it's a
piss
slightly
rock.
darker shade of yellow, then Tails fucked up.
It
So I
looks
feel-
like it. It looks like an actual piss rock.
I feel like chaos control for one guy is probably like not that big in energy usage. So if you say that that's just not all of, he didn't use up all the chaos emerald battery, it's not that bad. But it's just, is chaos control, is all you need chaos power and to just say the words?
I'd
So-
so.
I have much less problem with your point, Devin. Sonic has literally used the Chaos Emerald several times at this point.
Yeah.
He's got the experience. I don't think it's a huge stretch in a
Yeah.
moment of desperation to
To
just
just
be
try
like,
it.
let's try it. Yeah.
Exactly. He's just like, fuck it. I need a Hail Mary. Let's
guess
do
it's-
this shit.
It's that there's no other point in any Sonic media where we see Sonic just teleport, so...
Well, I get that, but he clearly can use chaos energy if he can go super.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
exactly.
Super Sonic
He's
should
got
teleport
experience.
more then.
Well, yes, Supersonic should teleport more, and I think he does in Frontiers when you're fighting things.
Okay, you know what? You're right.
But that's
Fuck.
a lot late.
He hasn't learned it yet. This is when he learns it. So
Exactly. Bingo. There you go.
Alright. Well,
Yeah, no
In
time
any
to pick up a
case-
new skill, like when your life is on the line.
it's the adrenaline.
That's when I'm gonna pick up knitting.
Oh, you're gonna knit yourself a parachute when you fall out of a plane.
Well, actually,
Yep.
right?
yeah, the human body can do some crazy things when pushed to the limit. So why can't Sonic?
Fine, justified, fine. Anyway, Sonic
Ah,
Sonic is safety. He lands conveniently, like right on top of Knuckles, basically.
Not yet. Not
No?
yet.
No?
No.
Okay.
Because we have to talk about a rare act of fueled vengeance from Tails. Because
Oh,
there's a
that's after.
boss battle right now.
oh yeah.
Oh,
sorry.
boy.
Yes.
After Sonic tells Tails, "You are our last hope," he is like, "This is the first time that Sonic has really asked something of me, and I'm gonna fulfill it." And yeah, so then he just goes all out against Eggman right here.
Eggman 2, what a fucking boss battle.
Yes,
It was-
remember when I said that the Rouge fight was the jankiest jank to ever jank? I lied. I was straight lying. My entire notes on this is how much I hate everything that happened, and I have no idea what the fuck happened. I don't understand how I lost when I lost. I don't know how I won when I won.
Sid, I'm
You
sorry
have
to
to
tell
press
you
the
this. I
button.
beat him on my first try in 18 seconds.
What is this
Ow.
person? Bruce, are you a cryptid? Why are you like this? Why is it always something like this where you're just fine and like other
I
things you
don't know
struggle
what
with?
to tell you. I don't know what to
But
tell
see,
you.
Bruce, that's how my best attempt went too. Like the attempt I won like basically instantly, and I have no idea what the fuck happened. When I lost,
So,
I lost
mean-
basically instantly, and I don't know what the fuck happened.
I think the fight felt exactly the same as the first one to me.
You didn't get
Huh.
hit by the giant fuck you laser?
I don't even think he used the giant fuck you laser.
Okay, well that would be why. Because that's the thing that
Oh.
hits you in this fight, because it does giant damage and it can hit you multiple times, and they can turn while using it.
Yeah, this fight, I can certainly see why you wouldn't like it. Honestly, I don't think it's.
I'm going to make a new layer of hell for whoever made it.
All right,
I
I
wouldn't
believe
go
in
that
you.
far.
I would, and I'm going to.
It doesn't feel great.
It is
but,
a war crime and should be
but-
tried as such.
But well,
Man, alright.
it certainly feels like a war. I'll tell you that because Eggman is just blasting all the time right at you.
Sounded
Like,
bland.
there is no way that these weapons are like certified is allowed to be used on humans. Giant lasers like that? No way.
Well,
That's
he's not
definitely
using
a
it on
war
a
crime.
human. He's using it on a fox.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true.
A
Um,
fox that has all the intelligence, if not significantly more, than a human, so legally would probably be tried as a human.
I will say this, the one thing that I do like about this is the explosive canister in the middle of the room, which you
Yes.
can use to hit him remotely, or which in my case,
That
he
thing
actually
saved
killed
my ass
himself
so
by hitting.
much.
Oh, yeah, and you have to be careful not to get hit with it yourself, of course. Yeah, this fight, I have difficulty doing it consistently,
It's
but
because you have to be aggressive, but the enemy plays a little bit randomly, and there's no objects, there's no rings or anything in the fight. I think
This
there
was
was
Right,
the
right.
hardest boss fight I've done in something recently, and I've been playing through Terraria on Legendary.
Oh God.
Uh-huh. Yeah, this fight is a time for sure. But I enjoy it even if I don't feel like I'm completely in control all the time. There are some times when I just spam and then I win. I don't know how that works. I think it's, as you said, because their behavior is somewhat randomized. And that's kind of just dumb. But basically what you have to do is you have to keep positioning yourself behind Eggman so that he can't hit you. It's a game of like they're trying to get around you and you're trying to get around them. And you always have to keep moving and you always have to keep spamming the fire button, of course, as well. You have to be careful of that canister in the middle. So, I don't know, it feels like a good challenge, but maybe not as... Yeah, I think the randomness is not great. The fact that sometimes the boss will just not shoot a laser for a while, and sometimes it'll just be like, no, you're dead right now. It's a little unpredictable.
Yeah, it's the unreliability aspect that makes it feel bad. So, yeah, we gotta keep the pace up here.
Mm.
So, Sonic finally materializes and basically lands on top of Knuckles, who is just around. I don't know what he was going to do, but he tells Knuckles, like, oh, can you help Tails and Amy while I'm gonna try and throw the emerald in the cannon? Sonic is determined, though. He has the fake emerald, and he is determined to finally rush to the Eclipse cannon and slam dunk it in there, as he says, which appropriately leads into Sonic's final stage, Final Rush, which I think opinions are going to be kind of split on, because I like this stage a lot.
I liked most of it, but I had a lot of trouble getting the swapping between rails to work.
Fair
So,
play.
I
Am I alone in
actually...
the negative camp?
I have extreme negative and extreme positive things to say about this, actually, because the problem with this stage, and I would consider this the worst Sonic stage, is
Oh,
it requires you to master grinding when you actually... There's been a little bit of grinding in the game,
that's a good
but
point.
you haven't gotten all that much. It just
That is
throws
a
you
really
into the
good
deep end.
point.
It's like, do you know how to grind? Do you know how to switch rails? No,
Yeah.
well, too bad, you're dead. Literally, that's what this stage is. It's, do you know how to grind the stage?
That is a really good point.
It's
Well,
really stupid. There should have
and-
been some sort of training beforehand, but not all that much, really.
They didn't work out rail switching in these games until Shadow the Hedgehog, and then they fucked it up for Sonic 06 and Secret Rings before finally fixing it again with Unleashed, because for some reason, rail switching in these games is not an animation where your character jumps from one rail to the other. No, rail switching is you get flung off to the side of a rail and hopefully you land on the other one.
Okay, good. I wasn't just fucking it up. It literally just is that weird.
It's worse in Heroes, but yeah, it's really annoying in this game.
Okay.
Another thing are there are these vertical rails that you're supposed to grind up like a slope. And when I first played this stage, I didn't understand how they worked at all. And the funny thing is, there's even an Omochao there that tells you, get more speed using jump dash, try grinding up the steep incline. But I guess I was just too stupid to know when he said jump dash, he meant homing attack into it straight on at the bottom, and then you'll go up no problem. I didn't get that. So I just been like, okay, I'll jump onto it. And no, you just grind down and you die in a bottomless pit. Game over. Go back to the beginning of the stage. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. And that was my experience with this stage the first time. On top of, trying to switch grind rails and falling and dying and all the other good stuff. It's one of those lots of bottomless pits stages, and you have a hard time not falling in it when you have very small, precise terrain to grind on, and that's it. It's nerve-wracking. That's what this stage is.
Okay, I'm glad you said that, because, the whole time, I felt like I both wasn't doing anything and was about to have a panic attack. My chest was about to explode with, nervous energy the entirety of that stage.
It
that's
can be
literally what it
stressful
is.
because it likes to have you fall for very long periods of time. And, even if you're taking a shortcut, like the rail shortcut partway through, where you have to fall down to the lower rails, but you have to be sure you're hitting them. And if, you spin dash jump, then, if you're on an incline, then your gravity will be slightly tilted, so you can't always land perfectly.
The stage also felt incredibly long to me,
Oh, it's a long stage.
Yes,
Very
it
much
is a
so.
very long stage.
Yeah,
which to
it's
me,
tough.
not really a good thing.
However, let me be clear. That was my experience the first time playing it, and I think most people's first time playing it. But after I've mastered it, this is actually one of my favorite Sonic stages now, for all the same reasons, really. But suddenly I'm good at grinding.
Well, it's very open. There's so many ways to go.
Yes.
Yeah.
Figuring out how to actually switch between the rails consistently is great, because when you're first playing, you're like, no, I'm not going to switch between rails at all. I'm going to play it safe. But once you know how to do it, there are tons of alternative routes, and you can collect bonus items and stuff, and you can do rad tricks like doing a flip off the end of the grind rails. Also, there are some super long grinding sections, and it feels like a roller coaster once you actually know how to do it correctly. Before, it's like, I'm gonna die, but now it's like, oh yeah, I might die, but that's great. Like, seriously, it's a real final rush to Sonic stages, you might say. So yeah, it is just very fun. And if you fall off, I have to give them props. Sometimes you can actually catch yourself instead of, the game just killing you for no reason, even though you can see there is still level below you. You actually, if you're good, you can save yourself, which is nice. I appreciate that.
That is nice.
Yeah, the whole thing slopes downward, but that means if you are able to land on a lower part of it, you can survive, and that is nice. No final like bullshit here.
I enjoy though if you actually fall into the infinite bottomless pit, Sonic does actually catch on fire.
Yeah, he burns
Yeah,
up
yeah,
in
yeah.
re-entry.
Yeah, that is
Up in
pretty
the
good.
atmosphere. That's funny.
So yeah, I love grinding. So once I got good at it, I love this stage. It's just grinding the whole way, and if you're good at it, it's good.
Final
you
Rush
don't know
is
what you're
good
doing,
if you
it's
grind
terrible.
the grind.
Basically.
Well, that's the final stage, and so we get our next to last cutscene where Sonic and Shadow sort of shoot the shit just about who they are, which is, I like.
This is a good cutscene. First of all, you've got the alternative rendition of the boss theme for the cutscene to build the hype up a little bit in the
Yeah.
background. And then, yeah, as they're talking with each other, I like how the roles between the two have been reversed. Because initially, Sonic is wondering what Shadow is, but now Shadow is like, who are you to Sonic? Because he sees that he can harness the power of the Chaos Emeralds, so it's not just you, Devin. He's supposed to be exceptional. It's like, oh, Sonic's a hero or whatever. But I think Shadow also doesn't realize that he's used them before, so.
When I just like the dialogue exchanges. I think they're genuinely good here. With Sonic going, what can I say? I die hard. It's cheesy, but I love it. And
Yeah.
everybody points to what you see is what you get. Just a guy who loves adventure. As the ultimate Sonic descriptor.
Yeah.
It is cheesy, but in like a perfectly Sonic way.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, and
yeah,
Shadow's
it's how he
response
is.
where he's like, I see, but I can't let you live.
Yes, and then they're like, all right, then let's finish this.
I used to think that David Humphrey as Shadow here was like kind of bad because he does have this weird thing where he like slightly slips into British, which I don't know what's up with that, but I like when he can ham it up.
His performance of Shadow is very all over the place.
Yeah, I'd agree with
Like,
that.
the peaks of it were very good, and the lows of it were... I was not a fan.
Yeah, I know you like Jason Griffith better. Anyway, Sonic vs. Shadow 2. It is not especially hard if you know what to do.
If you know what to do.
If you don't, it turns into an awful boss fight.
Yeah, the first couple hits, you can just homing attack him.
Yes.
But
Yep.
after that, you have to wait for him to attack and then interrupt him.
Yeah, so I didn't realize that until like probably my 10th or 15th attempt.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
boy.
about what it took me when I first played it. I just didn't
Yeah.
understand what was going on.
I didn't understand because what is it? It's 5 hits, right?
5, it might even be 6, I don't know.
Oh God, I actually think it might have been 6. Either way, yeah. So the first couple hits are fine. Those are completely doable. And then I can't figure out why I can't hit him. And then I also the fucky camera strikes again and turns me around, and I run off into the void.
Mm.
Or
What is it with you and the camera? I think that might maybe happened to me once ever fighting
That's
this boss.
happened to me, but
cameras
mostly on the
in video
game.
That's happened
games
to
hate
me.
me. Cameras in video games hate me. I don't know what to say.
It's not really that bad for me. in this
Or
fight.
Shadow would just kind of snipe me. like seemingly literally out of nowhere.
Well, because the whole weird
Do that.
thing about this fight is that if you hit them while like the ground is collapsing behind them, or if you knock them off or something, they'll just chaos control back up, which means
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
between that and like if you're just running, the falling platforms are not hard to stay away from because they're not that fast, but it means that the fight can
Right.
take forever.
Yeah, I struggled with this fight so fucking much,
It was
and
pretty drawn out, but I didn't find it to be too bad overall.
I feel
Yeah.
like because the last little bit of this game was such a struggle for me, it really soured, or this story, it really soured the rest of the story.
Can
I had
make
a
it
lot
hard,
of trouble
yeah.
with this the first time too. In fact, I had so much trouble I didn't even figure out the intended solution. As you said, you're supposed to wait for them to use their chaos move and then hit
Right.
them. That's not how I beat the boss the first time. No, I
Oh?
used the light speed dash into them in order to damage them because that does work. But the problem is they have to be
I did
positioned
that as yes, I did that a
perfectly
few times as
in order to
well.
do that. And so it took me way longer than it should have because I light speed dashed into him for
Right.
every single hit. So yeah, a very long boss battle doing it that way.
Well, that's especially because you have to wait for them to get far away from you to even use their attack, and you're
Yeah.
not going to want to just stop when the platforms are collapsing.
Exactly. So I never triggered it naturally, except maybe a few times. But I didn't realize they were vulnerable at that point. Is the thing.
Right.
Yeah, how would
Um,
Interesting.
But, the not great gameplay aside, sort of the trappings of the fight are on point. I do like that, the two of them are dashing on an infinitely long platform, and also the music is wonderfully intense.
The
for
music
true
is really
story.
good.
I love that theme so much.
They've built up. This really feels like a darker story, especially after they tried to kill Sonic and there's a countdown to the Eclipse cannon firing off. So the fact that you're in space here and you've got that foreboding sort of theme,
Stars don't twinkle, moon doesn't shine.
it's really a dreary atmosphere for a final boss battle. I like it.
Yeah, if they just let you know how you were supposed to do it, I think it would all be better.
Well, yes.
But Sonic beats Shadow, and you see the cannon explode from the fake emerald, and the day is saved. And that's part of the reason is that the ending is sparse. You have Sonic say "Awesome job, Tails," and Tails is like, "Oh my gosh, he's alive!" And then Sonic gives a thumbs up from the edge of the cannon, with his slightly weird CG model, and then it just cuts to credits.
Also, is him breathing in space.
Oh, we should have touched on that before if we were going to talk about that. I don't know how that works.
It's
No,
one of
that's
my,
not what biology is.
that was one of my earlier notes about Tails breathing in space, but I guess Sonic does that as well. I didn't
And
feel like it
Knuckles.
was really necessary to bring. Oh yeah, Knuckles does as well.
Arc has an oxygen barrier. It's fine.
Yeah, it's fair enough.
Actually, that probably makes sense given that humans had to be working on those things. But
That's true.
anyway,
I'm
so
so- my brain is like fried at the moment. Why would they have that scene at the end with Eggman if it does split? You're right. It doesn't make any sense. It can't have been destroyed because of what happens later. It doesn't make any sense.
that's the end of the hero story, everybody. Roll credits. Oh, don't ask me why. I don't need a reason. Okay, we're done. It's the credits. We get a new version of "It Doesn't Matter" that has the same lyrics but is a different song for some reason.
Oh yeah, I wasn't. I forgot to mention that, but yeah, they have redone character themes with some of the same lyrics, but rearranged. It's interesting. I like it.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna be honest. I think at this point I actually like SA2 version of "It Doesn't Matter" better, just because I think Tony Harnell sings better in that version. So the hero side was a very uneven playthrough, wasn't it?
I think the last half of this game or this story. I keep calling it this game. This story.
Feels like a full game.
It does feel like a full game.
Kind of like
Honestly,
Sonic Story and Sonic Adventure. Honestly.
I feel like the last half of this story has a really big problem where a lot of the stages start off really strong and then just turn to dog shit, or not dog shit, but just they get worse halfway through or like 2/3 of the way through. And
Yeah, for me, as soon as the game goes into space, it's just I hate every space level. That's the overarching theme. If it's in space, I fucking hate it.
For me, it's not even space levels. It's like after Pumpkin Hill for me. Not all of them start off strong, but a lot of them, a decent amount of them start off strong and then just get worse.
Yeah.
And it's
I agree.
I ended up not particularly liking this story.
Good to be honest. I felt like I was trying to sort of temper my comments a lot during Sonic Adventure, and this time when I was playing the game, I was like, "Wow, I have a lot of positive notes." I wonder, let me think about this. No, no, I'm just going to be positive.
That's fair.
Um, I don't know that I can really judge this objectively. I am 100% biased, but it was a blast. I talked about where I had problems. I
I
talked
mean,
about where I had problems the first time I played, and I don't really now. So I can
fair.
say that a little bit, I suppose. We're not doing an analysis of the full game. I suppose I
Oh
should
yeah.
save that for the end.
For
I can
me,
only say what I felt like playing
it's
this
very
time.
much that I like Sonic stages. I really cannot bring myself to like the mech stages all that much. At least Tails' stages. And the Knuckles stages, I think, are a lot better when you fucking mod the radar, but I've definitely felt like that, there's things that, like, there's just all these little things that build up, which sucks, because overall,
Yeah,
this is way more consistent than SA1. There's no,
it
like, weird
is.
asides, other than, I guess, the kart racing level, but that's not that bad.
No,
And so it's...
I feel like yeah, this is definitely a lot more consistent than SA1. But between the two, if I had to choose, there's not really a good equivalency of the hero story in SA1. But I guess if I had to go back and either play Sonic's story or the hero story in this game, I think I'd actually rather play Sonic's story in SA1.
Well, see, that's the thing is
But that's not a good
it's it's
equivalency.
not equivalent because they've tried something completely different in this game.
Yeah, I don't really know
They've
how to
meshed
put
all the
my thoughts.
gameplay things together in a
Right.
single story. I mean, there's two stories, but it's the same three kinds of gameplay in both. So it's weird. It has its advantages and it has its disadvantages.
Well, I think this is the age-old complaint about 3D Sonic, which is that what they should have done is had linear Sonic-style stages that you just play as different characters sometimes.
Yeah, I think that would have been the best. I was also talking to my girlfriend about this, and I said realistically, the game probably could have just been 10 Sonic stages and 10 Shadow stages and been good.
But then I wouldn't have gotten my Knuckles hunting stages.
How
You see,
tragic.
to me, that's a gift from heaven. I
Knuckles
know you
may
enjoyed
die,
them,
but that is
Lauren.
a sacrifice I am willing to make.
That is a sacrifice I'm willing to make.
Look, if Sonic Adventure 2 was perfect, it wouldn't be Sonic Adventure 2, would it?
Exactly.
That's
It would
true.
be perfect Sonic Adventure 2, and we don't want that game.
Excuse you, Sonic Adventure 2 is perfect. There has not been a single complaint in this entire video.
No,
Yeah,
you're
this
right.
definitely wasn't once upon a time my favorite game, and at this point I'm very confident that it is nowhere near anymore.
Was it this playthrough, or had you thought of that before?
I had thought of that before, but this playthrough where I like forced myself to actually like stick to it really cemented that I do not like this game as much as I once did, but that is more because I have stronger opinions than I once did, and I don't enjoy a game just for being
Yeah.
a game.
Oof.
That is a big
Fair.
one. I think you have less stronger opinions as a kid, so you're more
Well,
likely
yeah,
to
as a kid,
say
I was just glad to be playing a video game. I didn't care if it was good or not.
exactly. I've had so many experiences like that where I go back and play a game I loved as a kid, and it's like, wow, I had shit taste. This game sucks ass.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's true. I think that we know how to express things nowadays, because, Lauren Orr said, we used to play this at each other's houses all the time as a kid, mostly doing Chow
All the
stuff,
fucking time.
but if
Mhm.
we were grinding out Chow stuff, we were never doing it on fucking mech stages, you know?
Sure. No,
Oh
you're
no, I
wrong.
was
No,
only ever doing it on the one stage over and over and over, and we'll get to that in the dark playthrough.
Oh, okay.
Boy.
Yes.
Yeah. I hate to say that I didn't really enjoy this. Or I like kind of hated like a solid half of this.
Like I said, it's
But
uneven.
It
there
is a
were-
game of high highs and low lows.
yeah, that's exactly what I was about to say. There are really high highs. Like Metal Harbor is excellent. City Escape is is probably the best opening we've had so far as I'm concerned.
I
But
think
the lows are so low, like to the point of making me physically angry, or almost physically angry, or so frustrated I needed to put the controller down.
we're gonna see this continue in the next two episodes, but I think that this is a good microcosm of it. I think Adventure 2 contains Sonic at its best and its worst.
Yeah.
I think I can agree with at its best from what we've played, because I just don't have enough of a Sonic experience to overall say it has some of Sonic's best, but I get what you mean.
Well, emotions will run high, and they will continue to run high next time on Deep Dive Zone when we conquer the dark side playthrough. I think that, it's all right to disagree. We don't have to be like stepping on each other's toes or worried about stepping on each other's toes. And I think that it's good that we can have diverse takes. And
Oh yeah, I
next
was not
time-
brought here to agree with people.
No, you were brought to be a fucking verbal hand grenade in the room that makes all of us duck for cover. And you've done a great job of that, by the way.
I've enjoyed that.
Yeah.
But for now, we are finished. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope this generates some discussion in the comments. I hope I can argue with people for fucking months on end. If you enjoyed this video, feel
Sure.
free to share, comment, like, and subscribe. And if you did not enjoy this video because we disagreed with your opinions, feel free to share, comment, like, and subscribe anyway, so that you can
Send me a
generate more
personal
discussion with
death
all these
threat on
people you
Twitter.
hate.
I want anyone who disagrees with me to send me a personal death threat on Twitter. I will open my DMs and everything.
You can also send my death threats to Bruce. I'm sure he'll forward them to me.
I'll make sure Sid gets to see them.
If you would like to, if you have, if you have any questions, comments, or feedback, you can find us at any of the resources shown on screen. Apparently, death threats are also included in sending us those things.
No, only me and Sid. Lauren and Devin.
Yeah,
they
I'm not
deserve
signing
death
anyone
threats.
else up for death threats.
You
Yeah,
can
no,
send
no,
me
only
threats.
us.
Don't send them to Lauren.
Okay.
He's okay.
No,
Lauren
Lauren doesn't
is
deserve the death threats.
Lauren is probably the one you most agree with anyway. So
Probably the other three of us though. Send them all to me. I'll make sure the others get them.
anyway, hope you guys. We will see you next week. Hope you guys have a great night and take care. Can you tell that I'm uncomfortable doing this? I feel like I'm making enemies as I speak. It's great. I love it. See you guys next week. Have a great night. Take care. See ya.